Dark, cold, dreary. These three words can describe the situation that is happening to the hero Naruto Uzumaki at the moment. He could not see anything around him, he could not smell a single thing, he could not hear a single sound. It felt like a dream. But his intuition told him that this was reality. An hour passed, or maybe more than one, when two glowing eyes lit up opposite him. They stared at him, without moving their pupils. But the blonde was not afraid of this picture. Moreover, he responded with the same look and words. Kurama, what's going on? There was a snort in response. Why does my subconscious look so strange? Another disgruntled snort was heard in response. Kurama, what have you done? Me. Did I do something wrong? The fox finally got angry, almost shouting. Dude, you screwed up again. Oh gods, why did I get such a Jinchuriki? And I like such a fox, Naruto answered in the same tone. So what happened? I wish I knew. All I know is that as a result of your thoughtless actions, I had to restore your body. Do you even understand what it's like? A whole month to restore your chakra channels in the body itself. Even for me it was monstrous, I had to switch off and accumulate chakra. A month. Naruto sat down more comfortably. And I was out for a whole month. I had to knock you out. Otherwise you would have screamed from endless pain and gone crazy. And it is easier to treat a resting organism than one that is actively jumping and running. So that's it. Naruto sighed. What did I do to disrupt the chakra channels like that? Did I launch the Rasengan incorrectly? Kurama nervously twirled his tails. He, too, was impatient to find out the reason for his troubles for a month, so that he could further nag his Jinchuriki. But why is it so dark here? As far as I remember, there was always water and a cage here. Maybe because this isn't your body. Kurama said mockingly. As an option, What? Excuse me. Naruto cried out, standing up. What do you mean, not mine? How did I get here? Did Orochimaru move me? Don't yell. Kurama hit his tail next to the blonde, blowing a strong wind at him and giving him a chance to calm down. I don't know. While I was patching up your brainless body, I found out that it is much younger than yours, not as developed physically and spiritually, too little chakra. This is definitely not your body. Then whose? Will you ever think and not ask stupid questions? I don't know. Maybe this is your Sakura's body. I can imagine. Shut up. Naruto sighed. Can I wake up already? Kurama's eyes closed and the room became dark again. The fox curled up into a ball, pretending to sleep. But Naruto knew it was a trick and didn't let up. Can I find myself in my body? Look around. You can, the beast smiled. But your treatment is not finished. And you will feel pain and weakness. Will you describe your suffering to me when you return to the subconscious? Are you always this insensitive? Or are you trying to hide your anxiety? Naruto couldn't see the fox, but he felt it shudder. Despite all its temper and malice, there was something kind in the nine tails. The boy was able to discern this and befriend Kurama, become his partner and ally. Kurama appreciated this, but never showed it. Even the fact that he pulled Naruto back from the other world, healing his body with his special chakra, giving it away without a trace, the nine tails demonstrated as a favor and a gesture of goodwill. Such is its character. Good luck, Fox muttered, falling asleep to restore his chakra. It hurts. Kurama wasn't lying when he talked about pain. Hellish spasms and tingling were heard throughout the body. You can't move, you can't budge. Even opening your eyes is a real ordeal. Everything around you is swimming, the bright light doesn't let you see objects. Naruto saw two dark figures standing not far from him. They were talking about him. Are you sure? A month ago you said that my son was a living corpse, and it would take a year just to recover. And now you claim that his body is slowly recovering in a month. Fourth, this is the first time in my practice. I have treated Jonin, Chunin, Genin. With such extensive damage, only a medic nin of Tsunade-sama's level will be able to recover in the shortest possible time. But for this, you need to have the Byakugo seal. Your son does not have this. And his chakra is too weak to even begin recovery with it. This is more like a miracle. A miracle? Minato was surprised. You think it's a miracle? My son destroyed his life, his destiny. Lord Hokage, I didn't mean to offend you. It's just that in this situation, only a miracle saved Naruto. Be glad that you've found the hope you lost a month ago. Ah, came a heart-rending groan as Naruto tried to get up. Naruto, don't move. Someone's hand gently pressed him to the bed. What? You're in the hospital. Nothing will happen to you. Your father is nearby. Father, Calm down. Don't try to talk, Minato said, sitting down next to his son. You've been out for a month now. Your mother and I were worried about you when you. Although it's too early for you to know yet. Can I go? No, you can't, Minato said harshly. You're not well yet. I understand that you're eager to get up after so many days of immobility, but for now let's agree that you'll follow the doctor's orders here. Get well soon. The fourth suddenly stood up from his seat and headed towards the exit, beckoning the doctor with his fingers and closing the door so that his son would not hear. Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know how you're going to do this, but delay Naruto's treatment. Tsunade-sama will be unhappy. Tsunade-sama is only the head of the hospital, not the Hokage. And this is not a request, but an order. We do not need Naruto, Minato said, moving to his seal in the residence. Yu-Gi-Oh opened the door of the room and quietly whispered. I'm sorry, Naruto, it's not my will. Commentary on Where Are We, Kurama? This is the introduction, not a very informative chapter, but it is what it is. And I will go for such an experiment as interactive polls. The point is that after each chapter I will ask several questions with answer options. Your choice will determine what will happen next. But do not forget to simply comment on the work, so that I know whether you like it or not. Interactive. 1. The elder sister, the heiress of the Uzumaki clan, one of the strongest Junin in the village. They look at her with respect, consider her the most powerful and beautiful. It is not for nothing that they even jokingly call her the fifth, hinting at who she will become next. In response, she also treats everyone in the village with a great deal of respect and helps everyone. And in her family too. She treats Naruto, 1, with contempt. She considers him a weak link, an unnecessary and useless member of the family, only disgracing the honor of the clan. She would have grabbed him by the scruff of the neck and thrown him out of the village long ago, but she can't, so as not to cast a shadow on her father. 2. Neutrality. Neither good nor bad, just trying to present him as a nobody, only occasionally helping to show the village how kind she is. Doesn't cause any harm either. 3. With sympathy. Helps, sometimes trains, supports Naruto and is his protector in the family and village. 2. Kurama of this world is in the body. 1. Kushina. Even childbirth did not allow this beast to escape from the representative of the Uzumaki clan. 2. Sister. The body was so weak that Kurama had to be sealed into the first child. 3. In Minato. 2. Recovery. Being in a hospital is the worst punishment in life. You're bedridden, taking disgusting drugs, and waiting. Just waiting and bored with nothing to do. For a normal person, this kind of time is pure torture. But not for Naruto. For a hyperactive ninja, it's hell. The only people he had contact with were Kurama and the doctor. The fox was reluctant to share his thoughts, preferring to ignore the boy or sleep to restore his chakra and channels. Naruto knew that without the Nine Tails healing energy, everything would have been much slower. When the beast was in the mood, he said that such damage was more like Naruto using Rasengan for the first time, only longer. And it all happened from within. That is, the previous owner had incorrectly summoned chakra and sent himself to the afterlife. Was the local Naruto really that abnormal? The blonde boy was slowly learning about his past from his conversation with the doctor. Citing amnesia wasn't the best decision, but the doctor wasn't even surprised. Perhaps the boy hadn't been particularly smart before, judging by the reactions of the nurses and the doctor. And yes, Naruto was psychologically unstable here. The entire village bullied him, everyone tried to point a finger at him. It didn't help that Uzumaki. Sorry, Namikaze was the fourth son. He didn't even try to cool the crowd and occasionally added fuel to the fire. A good father, nothing to say. And then Naruto realized how lucky he was. He had no family, no one who could get close and betray him in childhood, so he was able to ignore and go towards his goal. Despite the hatred, the whole village was his family. And his character did not allow him to give up. He always said, I'll show you. I'll become Hokage. Inside him was Kurama, whose chakra was soaked in Naruto and allowed him to create clones in batches, train new jutsu for days. And Naruto immediately showed weakness here, and the family turned away. Turned away, and did not try to encourage. And there was no Kyuubi inside, that's for sure. Kurama stayed with Kushina. All this was so depressing for Naruto. In his subconscious, he found stones, don't ask where from, and threw them on the floor. They bounced and created unique sounds. You could make music out of them, but the boy was not a musician. And Kurama even more so, since he was irritated by the flickering before his eyes. When Naruto came close to the fox, the latter raised his paw and hit the blonde on the head with his finger bone. You're already pissing me off, Naruto. Stop worrying. I'm not worried. Okay, I'm a little worried. It's been 3 weeks and I'm still in the hospital and I still haven't gotten up. Naruto picked up more pebbles. Hey, you can't fool me. What are you talking about? Don't forget that we can feel emotions. The fox placed his face right in front of the boy. And you're confused. Well, Uzumaki threw another stone. My parents, family, another life. I was ready for anything, but not for this. I don't know what to do with them. Have you given up already? How unlike you. I didn't give up. The stone flew very far away. I can't give up until I become Hokage. But, this is a different world. I don't understand how to behave here. How to return home. Another soft blow landed on Naruto's head. Oi, what are you doing? I'm trying to figure out who replaced my Jinchuriki. Where is that dumb and goal-oriented boy who set himself achievable goals? Where is that annoying kid who defeated pain? They gave me a reflective whiner. You're a wimp, a ball of fur. No, I'm not convinced. Let's do it with expression, with feeling. What are you picking on? You yourself said that my character irritates you, and now you're trying to convince me to become myself. I want my Jinchuriki to want to live, and not sit in my subconscious and annoy me. I need your body. Oh, just don't pretend that you're doing this for selfish purposes. Got it. Kurama smiled. Get out of your subconscious already and talk to the doctor, he just arrived. I don't like that your treatment has slowed down. Naruto looked at Kurama with a puzzled expression. In the 3 weeks since his first awakening, he had managed to restore his vocal cords and eyes, as well as his left arm, but not completely. And since Naruto had no knowledge of medicine, he did not understand the fox's puzzlement. Has it slowed down? Yes, something is slowing down my chakra. And I don't like it. Let's get back to reality. Uzumaki was forcibly pushed out of his subconscious. What a fox. He runs his head like it's his own house. Good morning, Naruto. I brought you something to eat while I change the IVs. The doctor placed 2 pastries on the left table and started working on the IV on the right side. Good morning, Yu-Gi-Oh-sama. Thank you for the cake. Naruto smiled his signature smile. Is something wrong? No, it's just strange to see you smiling when you're in such a state. You're in pain, after all. It's nothing. The boy was struggling with the food at that moment, trying to take it in his hand. The limb was not obeying him well. The pain will pass, and I will recover. You will cure me, right? And then I will start training. Cure. He was surprised by such a statement, but then he caught himself. Yes, of course. But why did you decide to train? Why? The cake flew straight into the mouth. I have to be strong to become Hokage. The doctor dropped his tablet and pen. His eyes looked at the boy with such surprise. Naruto felt like a strange animal, being looked at with interest and a bit of curiosity. What did he say? Are you okay, Yu-Gi-Oh-sama? Did I say something wrong? Training, Hokage. Death affected him that much. He muttered under his breath. His quick healing. Yu-Gi-Oh-sama. Oh, sorry, I was lost in thought. He picked up his things from the floor and continued writing. Let's check your reflexes. Move your left leg. Okay. Now you're right. Good. Right arm, left arm. Turn your head. There is some progress, but not enough. Although I'm more concerned about your memory and behavior. I really don't remember what happened to me. I believe, perhaps the lack of memories has changed your character, too. That's interesting. To what extent does our memory shape our worldview? Or do we construct our own memories? A philosophical question. Naruto looked at him in confusion, and Kurama giggled maliciously inside. I don't understand. Was I different before? Tell me, I'm very interested. Oh, yes, I forgot myself again. Should I tell you? I'm a bad storyteller. Oh, please, I'm really interested in listening to you. You're the coolest in the village. Don't flatter me, although it was obvious that Yu-Gi-Oh was embarrassed by such an inept compliment. Okay, then you take your medicine. He put a pill and a glass of water on the left table, and I'll tell you. Before my suicide attempt. Suicides. Don't interrupt. Well, before your suicide, you showed signs of depression and psychosis. You couldn't study at the academy because of your weak chakra. Even a simple technique caused you extreme tension and weakness. Because of this, you were my constant patient. How many times have I heard you complain about life, your desire not to continue any further? You didn't see yourself as a shinobi, but your father forced you to study. And then one day, when you were tired of everything, you found a secluded place and tried to create a rasengan. You overstrained your channels too much and almost exploded. Itachi came in time and cast a genjutsu. You were dead when I saw you. More precisely, in a coma, but close to death. Itachi. Don't you remember? A captain of the military police. He was on duty near the training grounds that day, by a lucky coincidence. Even so, Naruto looked down. I was that desperate. Yu-Gi-Oh looked at the boy, and his heart sank. These were not the eyes of a hunted man who could not see the future. The pupils reflected a spark, a storm, and a desire. A desire that had never existed. What if he really became? No, that was crazy. Akane would be the next Hokage, no question. Yes, you were desperate. But I don't remember that. I don't remember. Oh well. Naruto flinched, receiving a sharp pain, but the desire to finish the sentence was stronger. That's in the past. I'll just start over. I have time and opportunities ahead of me. I'll win everyone's trust and still become Hokage. Yes, death really does change a person. It makes them grow up and rethink their life. That's what Yu-Gi-Oh thought, and the boy had already planted a shadow of doubt in his soul. And the boy's smile. He was smiling. He was smiling for the first time since he was a baby. It was great. Excuse me, Master Yu-Gi-Oh. The nurse who appeared at the door bowed. There's a Junin over there. Okay, I'll be right there. And you take the pills. They help. With these words he left the room. Tsunade-sama did not like to sit still and watch her subordinates. She treated with her own hands, her extensive knowledge of medicine. During her long life, she had been to war, seen various horrors. And she could not allow her talents to be wasted. The fourth made her the head of the Konoha hospital, but almost immediately regretted this decision. Tsunade was too independent, did not tolerate interference in her affairs. There was no counting how much broken furniture there was during a conversation with Minato. But the situation with Naruto passed her by. The huge wave of patients forced her to rush around the wards, and the paperwork did not allow her to leave the office for long. The fourth son had to be completely transferred to Yu-Gi-Oh! And only now she was able to look at his card. 2 months ago, he suddenly started to recover, which is suspicious. But then the recovery also began to decline. The readings jumped like crazy. One day the boy felt good, the next, bad. The chakra channels that he had destroyed in himself were restored. Tsunade leaned back in her chair. Despite his last name, Naruto was a scion of the Uzumaki clan. Their vitality and endurance were much higher than that of an ordinary person. Recovery from injuries was very fast. But even they are not able to restore chakra channels. Tsunade left her office and headed to the boy's room. Some strange feeling was bothering her. Strange things had happened to this boy. Tsunade-sama, a tall guy with long black hair tied in a ponytail, stood right down the hallway. Greetings. Hello, Uchiha Itachi. Decided to visit your brother? Yes. How is he? Already healthy. I'll keep him for just 1 day to make sure he's healthy, and then you can take him. Do you mind? No, Tsunade-sama. You are a medic nin and you know better what to do in a situation like this. Okay then, she smiled, but then added seriously. But if you play with your Sharingans again, I'll rip your toys out and throw them away. Understood. Yes, Tsunade-sama. Thank you. Itachi was about to leave, but hesitated a little. And how is Namikaze? Why should you be interested? You are nobody to him. Responsibility does not allow me to pass by. I saved him after all. Oh, right, I forgot that you can be boring in such matters. I'm heading to his room, you can come with me. No, I still. Come on, Tsunade ordered, walking past him. Itachi couldn't refuse. You'll look at him. When they entered, Naruto was stretching his arm. Itachi saw that the boy was not a lifeless vegetable with drooling, as rumors had it. Although he was not a healthy person, he was already full of cheerfulness and energy. It was so unusual to see that. Itachi. Granny. Naruto smiled when he saw him, shocking Itachi and Tsunade. It felt like it wasn't the first time he saw them. What kind of granny am I to you? Sorry, Tsunade-sama. Naruto flinched from the hospital head's gaze. I didn't mean to offend you. That's what you have to call me, otherwise you'll get even more hurt than you caused yourself. While they were arguing, Itachi walked around the boy and sat down on the empty bed. What was he doing here? He just wanted to see if Naruto was okay, that's all. He didn't want to come in here. He shouldn't be here. Naruto, how do you know me? The boy turned his head and smiled. Yu-Gi-Oh-sama was talking about you. You saved me, and I would like to thank you. Thank you. He raised his thumb up. Was this the youngest member of the Namikaze family that everyone had spat on? Who was considered the defective one in the family? Yes, Itachi had never seen the youngest Namikaze in person, but but the police often dealt with cases of beating and humiliation of Naruto's honor. The Hokage let the cases slide and did not allow the offenders to be punished. To be honest, this infuriated the Uchiha. I'm glad, Naruto-san. How are you feeling? Good. There are some small problems, he pointed at his body, but they will be solved and I will be able to start training. And how is your brother? Sasuke, why are you interested? Damn it, Naruto, don't let the Sharingan wielder get you down. Be smart this time. It's interesting. What if I was friends with him once? Were you friends with him? You even. He has amnesia, Tsunade interrupted. That incident completely damaged his nervous system. That's probably why he's acting strange. Itachi thought differently, but now he agreed with Tsunade. Sasuke is fine. He'll be graduating from the academy soon. Academy. Naruto looked out the window. When are the exams? Will I be able to make it? In 6 months, Itachi replied. Want to participate? Of course. I need to become a genin and carry out a mission for the good of the village. Tsunade came very close to the bed and placed her hand on the blonde's forehead. Naruto froze, not knowing what to do. When she removed her hand, she said. Temperature is normal. Show your pupils. The reaction is also good. But you're talking nonsense. No, I won't. When I get better and start training, then. You'll get it from me. I don't need the fourth son to end up in the hospital again. We don't need any scandals here. Naruto pouted like a child. It was obvious that he was offended by such words and provoked even more. It was similar to Sasuke when he couldn't master a technique, and Itachi egged his brother on. Maybe it wasn't that bad. And the rumors about Naruto being crazy were wrong. Itachi, tell me what this is. Tsunade-sama, may I have a word with you? Itachi stood up from his seat and walked out the door. The medic nin hesitated for a moment, and also walked out the door under Naruto's puzzled gaze. After closing the door, she looked up at him. And what did you want, Uchiha? Will you allow the Sharingan to be used on Naruto? I will allow it, after I write your obituary. Why do you need that? I have some suspicions. You can consider this professional. Tsunade looked at him with an angry look. A very angry look. As long as I'm in charge here, this won't happen. Get that into your head, Uchiha. As you say, I'll come after the mission and pick up Sasuke tomorrow. Goodbye. Uchiha disappeared, and Tsunade remained in the corridor. Alone. Commentary on 2. Recovery. These are the things that are happening around the boy's recovery. Will he be able to recover quickly? Or will he not be allowed to do so? There will be no interaction in this chapter, so you can still vote for the previous one or suggest your ideas and developments of further events. Don't forget to leave your comments and feedback. 3. Amendment. Yes, Mr. Hokage. His recovery is mind-boggling. 3 weeks ago he could only move his arm, but now he can sit and even move. It was already late evening. Minato was sitting in his office and listening to Yu-Gi-Oh's report. The latter was very nervous. The last month had not been easy for him. On the one hand, there was the Hokage's request, which he was fulfilling. True, his medical duty did not give him the right to completely refuse to treat Naruto, and the Hokage had clearly said that he would not allow his child to be killed. And on the other hand, there was Tsunade, the head of the hospital, who began to monitor him and visit the blonde more often, forcing the medic nin to be cunning in every possible way. Minato also kept an eye on Naruto, but not personally, but through his loyal Anbu. What was his attitude towards his unloved child? It is clear that Naruto is a burden and an unnecessary member for the family. No talent, no abilities, and also psychological instability. And why is he needed then, if there is Akane, his successor and continuer of the Namikaze business? Ah, if only it were possible to get rid of the youngest son without any problems. Lord Hokage. Sorry, I was lost in thought. So, he's recovering. Yes, next week he will be able to leave the hospital on his own. Naruto will still be weak and not so active, but his life is no longer in danger. Okay, he drawled. Were you able to figure out why he's recovering so quickly? I have a couple of hypotheses, but is there? Speak up, don't be shy. As you say, fourth. I looked at your family's medical records. Fast recovery is characteristic of the Uzumaki clan. Both your wife and your children possess such qualities. Light wounds heal quickly, and severe ones, twice as fast as in a normal person. But there is one exception, Akane. Minato folded his hands and looked at the medic nin. The Hokage understood perfectly. 9 tails. Yes, I noticed that the chakra of the beast that is imprisoned in your daughter gives noticeable regenerative properties. But there is no tailed beast in Naruto. I agree, Yu-Gi-Oh sighed. But as I said, I have a hypothesis. The chakra of the nine-tailed beast filled the fetus during Kushina-sama's pregnancy. And Naruto was able to absorb some of that chakra. Nonsense. I would rather believe that it is not Naruto, but another person hiding under a mask. Minato looked at the medic Nin with a stern gaze. Considering the abrupt change in my son's character. But still, thank you for the work you did. You did everything you could in this hospital. Tsunade will be very upset with you leaving. Leaving? I don't understand, Hokage. I want to transfer you to another hospital. Undercorn. They need exactly such specialists there. Hand over the case to your assistant and you can be free. Yu-Gi-Oh's hands trembled. The Hokage decided to put him away. After so many years of working and saving shinobi, he was promoted. Yu-Gi-Oh had heard of the route and knew that whoever goes there never returns. But, Lord Hokage, Minato didn't even look at him, making it clear that there was nothing to talk about. After all, I've dedicated so many years to this hospital. You can't. I can. Minato put down his pen and paper. Or do you want me to tell everyone about your shady dealings? Or perhaps a bad ending would suit you. With what information you know, that would be best. So I have no choice. No, Minato snapped harshly, but then softened. I don't deny your merits, and you will continue to help Konoha and its people. Consider it a promotion. Yu-Gi-Oh said sadly, realizing that nothing depended on him anymore. May I go? I give you permission, Yu-Gi-Oh. And as soon as the medic Nin left the office, he spoke in a slightly muffled voice. Fugaku, why did you come? I have something to discuss with you. Namikaze, Uchiha appeared in the doorway as if from nowhere with a burning Sharingan. Naruto was not sleeping. He was sitting on his bed and looking at the moon, which was burning with a bright light. The future Hokage, according to Naruto himself, thought about his future plans. Tomorrow he would leave the hospital. And then what? He had an untrained body on his hands, which needed to be trained from scratch, a small reserve of chakra. After consulting with Kurama, he decided not to use his chakra except in emergency situations. In this reality, the nine-tailed beast was not imprisoned inside the boy, and using this power could bring unnecessary suspicion on him. And Naruto didn't want that. No matter how much he wanted to tell his mom and dad the truth, no matter how much it hurt to hide the true state of things, he would do it until he was sure that it was safe for his own safety. The memories of the former route and its leader, Danzo, were still fresh. Although Kurama's intervention in Naruto's treatment had already raised suspicions, Yu-Gi-Oh-sama said that his personality had changed drastically. Those who came to the room also confirmed this. Perhaps everything would go well, and this would be attributed to the dying state he was in. Perhaps. But before we start training, we need to gather information. And see the village. Yes, that would be better. Wake up, wake up. Right now, 5 more minutes. Of course, said a sweet and soft voice, but the next second the blanket was taken off him and he was thrown to the floor by force. Get up, you worthless thing. Our father said to take you away. Naruto sat down on the floor, slightly opening his sleepy eyes. Before his gaze stood an adult girl with long black hair and brown eyes. She was dressed in a black t-shirt with the clan emblem on the back and a short black skirt. 2 katanas were fastened to her back, and on her belt were various small bags for storing long-range weapons. Naruto noticed that she was very similar to her father in her facial features and gait. Her eyes reflected disgust and contempt, which she did not try to hide. And you, who are you? Akane, your sister. And get ready already, I don't have time to mess around with you, idiot. Why argue right away? I'm already planning to. Talk less, do more. Naruto didn't argue any further. Akane showed with her whole appearance that talking to her brother was beneath her dignity. Any phrase was a kind of favor. I feel my brother's chakra in her. She is also a Jinchuriki. And he? I don't know, but I'm sure he sensed it too. Be on your guard. Okay, I'm ready, Naruto answered both interlocutors. Akane nodded and silently pushed the door. The blonde guessed that he needed to follow her. After walking a little along the corridors, he still decided to speak again. Akane-chan, why are you talking to me like that? Almost reaching the exit, she stopped. Such a straightforward question stunned the girl, but she still pulled herself together and looked angrily at Naruto. Because you deserve it, you wretch. The shame of our family. Hey, why am I a disgrace? Weak, irresponsible, not appreciating our care and empty-headed. I can go on. Look, Naruto, she guessed everything right. Shut up, Kurama. But this can be changed. I want to be useful, become stronger in. You want to be useful? Akane smirked. Jump off the nearest building and crash, you'll be much more useful that way. And don't whine. Yeah, right, Naruto will never whine, I'll just prove you wrong. When I become Hokage. Akane, opening the front door, got a punch in the nose from shock. Who will he become? Hokage. What did they do to him in the hospital? The previous Naruto calmly went into depression as soon as she said something nasty about him. And now he's resisting, the impudent fellow. And his words about the Hokage are ridiculous. Not only will Minato not allow this to happen, but Naruto himself is not worthy of even being near the residence. Enough lying already, she said, raising her voice slightly. I was asked to take you, not to listen to fairy tales. So shut up and follow me. Rude, Naruto whispered quietly outside the hospital. Akane turned around, sharply punched him in the stomach, and then finished him off with an elbow in the back. As soon as Naruto lay down, she turned her back and made a mistake, because the boy, despite the pain, abruptly stood up and hit his sister's back with his head. She could have easily dodged, but not expecting this from Naruto, she began to fall. Fortunately, Akane didn't have time to fall, but rolled over and stood up. She looked at Naruto, who was lying there writhing in pain. What was that? How had Naruto changed? The former depressed brother would have already been whining and squealing in pain, but this new Naruto was resisting. Yes, he was weak, yes, he was now lying on the ground and trying to recover from the strong blows of the Jonin. But he still wanted to. He wanted to get up, he wanted to show that his words were not fairy tales. Maybe Itachi was right when he said that, death changes a person. He was talking about his beloved then, but perhaps this phrase has a wider application. Get up already, she paused. Worthless. I'll show you that you're not worthless. Naruto stood up, holding his stomach. When? What's going on here? A female voice said from the side. He fell. Tsunade-sama. You know Naruto. Get up already, your family is waiting for you. Akane had already approached him, but Tsunade blocked his way. It seems to me that you started a fight here. Or rather, a beating. You know, I don't like this near the walls of my hospital. Tsunade-sama, I fell myself. I was happy that I could walk after so many months and overestimated my strength. Akane tried to stop me, Naruto lied, to which he received meaningful glances from both of them. To be honest, they didn't believe him, but the women sensibly decided that there was no need to continue the conflict that was starting. Tsunade stepped back and said, Namikaze, you need to control your outbursts of anger. I know without you, Tsunade. Goodbye. The sister threw Naruto's arm over her shoulder and headed towards her quarter. Without me, she knows. She watched them until the two disappeared. Without you, Namikaze, the village would be calm. I think you can go on your own. Akane shook his hand off. You could have said thank you. You'll get by, you worthless thing. She walked quickly forward. Wait a minute. Naruto ran after her. Akane didn't pay attention to him, no matter how hard the blonde tried to get her to talk. And after some time they came to their quarter. The Namikaze quarter is not the largest, if compared to the Hyuga or Uchiha's. But it had a higher status and security. It consisted of several houses, where Naruto's current family lived. In addition to his mother and father, there were also two sisters, including Akane, and a brother. When Naruto entered the house, he didn't meet anyone. Not only that, he immediately saw his brother and sister go upstairs and close the door. What a warm welcome. Mom, I'm here, Akane called. Father will be very late. He has a meeting with the clan leaders. Good. She walked out into the hallway in an apron. Naruto, are you well yet? He rushed forward, wanting to hug his mother. It had been so long since he had seen her like this. That battle with Kurama was probably their only meeting. What's wrong with him? He's gone crazy, Akane said simply, walking into the kitchen for a glass of water. I just missed you, Naruto said, looking angrily at his sister. Did you miss me? Kushina was surprised. Akane's words didn't seem so crazy anymore. Naruto, what's wrong with you? She peeled him off her body and examined him closely. He looked the same as he had before his ridiculous suicide attempt, only a little healthier and less pale. Did I do something wrong? The boy asked, a little puzzled. Mom, he has amnesia. His sister walked past him to the front door. He doesn't remember anything from the past. Bye, I'll be back this evening. And the door closed, leaving him alone with his mother. The initial shock had passed, and she had already come to her senses. Go eat, and then go to your room, Kushina said a little sternly. I haven't forgiven you for that act yet. Naruto was a little taken aback by such a sudden change in mood and character. But there was no point in arguing now, and Naruto's stomach protested against any chatter, wanting to taste the delicacies. Okay, Mom, he said, smiling. Naruto even accepted the punishment from his own family with a smile. For an orphan who had never known what it was like to live with his parents and feel their care, even this attitude was pleasant. He would finally be able to talk to his parents in person. Wasn't that the most important thing in life? Commentary to 3. Amendment. Decided to speed up Naruto's recovery a little, because I was already wanting to leave the hospital. Yes, the chapter turned out a little choppy. Italics. Naruto and Kurama's internal conversation that others cannot hear. Don't forget to leave your comments and feedback. Another interactive. Orochimaru-sama, the cunning snake. His intelligence and desire to break the rules always gave rise to conflicts. And the craving for forbidden knowledge put the safety of all of Konoha at risk. The Hokage was tired of putting up with this and one wanted to capture Orochimaru, but he escaped. 2 left and began to use his skills for the needs of the village. 3 he killed and took the developments and diaries for himself. IV. New acquaintance. Kirito, hello. Naruto's words went into the choked door. His sister didn't even say a word. And so it was every time for 3 days. He was the youngest of the whole family. Kirito was 14, and Shiro was all of 17. Akane was the oldest, 25. He was kept in the room for 3 days, only occasionally allowed out to go to the toilet or as punishment for that suicide. Not the best method of upbringing, but Naruto was no longer a little boy and took everything philosophically. The opportunity to look at his notes, his room, to think about something was wonderful. And he could lie down and talk to Kurama. This is exactly what Naruto did, reading his notes at the same time. More precisely, the past Naruto, who kept something like a diary. It was a stretch to call it a diary. The Jinchuriki felt all the pain that the boy had received when he was bullied, beaten and ridiculed. And even the fact that he was the son of the Hokage did not save him. Naruto remembered how in the past world, if you harmed the offspring of a noble clan or daimyo, then retribution would come unexpectedly. Even though it infuriated him that this retribution was not according to the law, at least it happened. And here everything went unpunished. There was only one case when the Uchiha caught the ringleaders and wanted to punish them, but the Hokage let them go. The curse, the desire for a quick death for everyone and everything, the unwillingness to live on, Naruto poured it all out. He hated everyone, he wished sweet dreams to everyone. And he gave in. He agreed that he was the weakest and incapable shinobi. You could be the same. You were also hated because you were a Jinchuriki. I never understood you people. You can ruin a life even for the slightest act. Not everyone is like that. Naruto said, there are good people who are willing to sacrifice themselves and act with honor and justice. Wow. When you find them, tell me, I'll remember them. Very funny, Fox. Naruto thought, I don't even know. In this world, the village is completely opposite to what I know. There is such cruelty here, such mistrust of each other. Why does my father allow this? Why does he behave like this? That's not your father, Kurama said. You're in another reality, created by the tree of life. Your father is still there, with his friends. He's a completely different person. I'm not a little child, and I understand everything perfectly well. Sometimes you behave like a little idiot who doesn't use his head. And I haven't insulted you yet. Thank you, I can always count on your support, Naruto said sarcastically. What would you do without me? Kyuubi grinned, curling up into a ball. Want some advice? Forget about everyone and live your own life. Those for whom you tried to change the world are still there. Here you can start a different life. Find yourself a girlfriend, kill your father. That's it, thank you. Naruto interrupted his instructions. You helped me a lot. This was Kurama all over. Even though he became Naruto's friend, he didn't stop hating people. And he had his own vision of the situation, but you can't disagree with him. This is not his family. Yes, he would like to live in a family, since he was an orphan all his life, but definitely not in this one. And his offer to live for himself was tempting. But he couldn't imagine it. How could he leave the residents in trouble and fulfill his selfish whims? This is definitely not his path. Be that as it may, but before deciding what to do next in this situation, he needs to become stronger. Yes, it is trivial, but he must be able to fight back, which means he needs to go to the academy as soon as possible and start training. Naruto, Kirito, Shiro. Breakfast. Kushina shouted. Naruto emerged from consciousness and resolutely walked downstairs. Shiro and Kirito were already sitting there, demonstratively not noticing him. Everyone was already eating scrambled eggs, and Naruto was no exception. The breakfast passed in a silent atmosphere. No one reacted to him, no one tried to talk, but it was possible to see each one individually. Shiro is a tall guy with short black hair and a scar under his eye. He always wore the standard Chunin uniform and was already the head of his squad. As a rule, Shiro rarely appeared in the village and carried out missions far from Konoha, sometimes disappearing for months on missions. Now was just the rare occasion when he was resting. Calm and silent. Kirito was very similar to her mother. The same hair, facial expression and temperament. And she loved to wear a short skirt and a t-shirt, not at all embarrassed by her outstanding forms. And she also had a rinnegan in her right eye. It was strange and unusual, because it is not so easy to awaken it. There were so many conditions and reasons for this. As, incidentally, with the Sharingan. But no one told him about this, and Naruto was lost in riddles. Mom, Naruto spoke after eating his entire portion, can I go to the academy today? I feel fine, I can walk. Kushina thought about it, and Naruto continued. I will honestly behave well. And I will study hard. Shiro choked on these words so much that his sister had to hit him on the back. Please. Minato said you can go now. But I won't let you go alone. Shiro, will you see him out? You're not busy today anyway, are you? I'm free until the evening, Mom, Shiro said politely. Okay. Then you can take it back. Kirito, where are you going? Kushina shouted, waving the frying pan. I still haven't seen your room in perfect order. There's so much dust there that you could draw. When will you clean up this mess? It's not an outrage, but creative chaos. It's easier for me to draw this way. So, I'll throw away your drawings if. Get ready, Shiro whispered to me, standing up from his seat. I'll wait for you outside. I nodded and we both left the kitchen. When two explosive characters meet, it's best to get out of the affected area. That's it, I'll come in the evening and pick you up. Remember, you promised to behave well. Of course, I won't go back on my words. I don't believe it, although I don't care. Shiro turned around and calmly walked out of the academy. Naruto sighed. It will be hard to earn the trust of others. If even your brother doesn't believe in your words. He started walking forward. Several glances were directed at him. Some students immediately took a few steps away from him. As if he were a leper. Oh well, it wasn't his first. He'll get through this too. I wonder if Iruka is like that here. I wish he was, but that's not the point. As a child, he wanted support and got it in the person of his first teacher. Now he had Kurama next to him, who, although he sometimes behaved like a bastard and annoying fox, was a good friend. And Sakura, Shikamaru, Ino, Sasuke, and the others, how have they changed here? Have they changed at all? Ah, so many questions are spinning around in my head. Entering his classroom, he immediately heard. I thought he was dead. Don't look at him, or he'll go crazy. Let him pass by, don't touch him. Sometimes it was bad when you were a Jinchuriki and had some of Kurama's powers. Like his keen hearing, he wanted to go up to him and say, no, I'm not like that. But children weren't in the mood to talk. He understood that when they were young, they absorbed everything their parents said and interpreted it to their advantage. And sometimes it was too hypertrophied and cruel. It wasn't their fault. Naruto sat down in the third row. He noticed some of his friends, the future team of Kurenai and Asuma, and Sasuke. The latter looked very serious and focused, although there was no sadness in his eyes. And why would he, if your clan is alive? Uchiha has beloved parents, a brother Itachi and awesome abilities. And Sakura was nowhere to be seen. Maybe she was late. Namikaze, why are you sitting here? A voice from the left said. Naruto slowly turned his head towards the sound. Damn, how could he not notice that someone was sitting here? Go away from here, I don't want to be seen next to you. And who are you? The girl was clearly dumbfounded. Naruto was an idiot, of course, but to forget someone's name. Maybe it was just him getting kinky again. It doesn't matter. Just get out of here. Kyoru ran. She waved her hands towards the two girls who entered, but they didn't look in her direction. More precisely, they purposely didn't look in her direction. Naruto knows what this is like from his past life. It can be cured either by throwing such individuals off Olympus, or by very loud words declarations. Damn, it's all because of you. And it seems to me that you have been trying to win their favor more than once. And to join their group, he nodded towards the group that stood apart from everyone else. It was fun and relaxed there. The deskmate opened her mouth, trying to say something, but could not find the words. Naruto's precise observation hit the mark. What finished it off even more was that a crazy person noticed it. It's still your fault, she said angrily, but very uncertainly. Apparently, she hadn't come up with any arguments. Having collected all her things, she moved to the row above, trying to sit at a sufficient distance from Naruto. Kyuubi giggled quietly inside, because the guy had never gotten along with the opposite sex. It's fun, he muttered, and was about to turn in the other direction, when a voice cut through the noise and fun. Sit down. Today we will have a preparatory lesson before the exam, which will be in a month. An elderly man in a shinobi uniform entered the classroom. There's a month until the exam, said one student, and got hit with chalk for it. But you must prepare now. The honor of your clans and the will of fire are at stake. He said a little pathetically. You are representatives of the Konoha families, who have protected and preserved the knowledge and strength of our village since ancient times. You must be strong at any moment. The enemy will not ask when the exam is, in a year, 2, or in minutes. He will attack unexpectedly, and you must be ready. As well as for our lesson. Now you will demonstrate your chakra control. Deja vu. This happened before. Iruka also taught such a lesson. Too bad he wasn't here. So, let's go out one by one and make at least one clone. Well, it's not difficult. He makes shadows in packs, and here is a simple immaterial clone. But there was excitement. Meanwhile, the students were completing the task with varying degrees of success. His acquaintances from that life had done it brilliantly. That same Sasuke had done 3 of them, and, grinning, he went on. You don't change, Sasuke, and you're showing off here too. Although with a smile. Brr, to see the Uchiha smile. Naruto had only seen it when he was on the verge of madness after a murder. Kimo Ioki, the teacher said. Naruto looked around to see a guy, judging by the name, coming up to the teacher's desk. But it was a girl, and one he couldn't get along with. What an interesting name, and he hadn't heard it. Let's describe her briefly. She had purple long hair, green eyes and pants that almost reached her feet, completely hiding her legs and a t-shirt, on which was thrown a light jacket with waves depicted on the back, the sign of the Aoki clan, and on her hands there were gloves. She went out and made the seals. A clone appeared next to her, and although there were some mistakes, overall she had created it, which is what the teacher had said. No one else clapped or hooted. No one cared. Naruto Namikaze. The guy came out and said, well done, as he passed her, which puzzled Kimo a little. Naruto made a seal and concentrated his chakra, and the clone appeared. In the form of a shapeless pile of organs. Well, Datbeo, the same thing again. One more, the teacher said harshly. Naruto tried twice, but failed, and the teacher summed it up. No credit. Train better, Namikaze. The blonde walked back, a little dejected, to some hooting and joy from those around him. How come? He knew this technique, his mind knew how to add things up, he knew how to properly concentrate chakra and where. But his body didn't know it. Chakra was like muscles, if you can make such a comparison. Read at least 4 books on Kung Fu, but if you haven't worked out a single movement, you're just a box storing useless knowledge. The Jinchuriki realized that he would have to start all over again from scratch. He had hoped to the last that his body knew at least something. But his hopes were dashed. Dashed. Okay, that's the end of the class. Everyone who didn't pass today, practice. The exam is in a month, and there are other tests besides that. Your clans should be proud of you. Pathos and pathos. Why is that? He joined the crowd, but was pushed away. It's good that he had trained his patience, otherwise he would have already started a mass brawl here, without thinking about the consequences. Instead, he listened to the conversations. Basically, everyone was talking about the training that they would do, that they needed to prepare. Those from the big clans were the least worried. The weaker families were the most worried. It was obvious from their faces and intonations that it was a matter of life and death to pass the exam for Genin. Kyoru, could you help me? Go away, Aoki. I will never communicate with someone like you again. The blonde said. But we could. For Sarutobi Kaoru to hang out with the Aoki clan, I'd rather train with a dog than with you. Why did you? Aoki said, almost crying. But Kyoru didn't listen to her anymore, and together with her friends, she went out of the gate to freshen up. Naruto stopped nearby. Why did they do this to you? Namikaze, Go away. I don't want to talk to your clan. What do you mean? Naruto was surprised. Just go and leave me alone. And leave my family alone. She ran towards the toilet. Datbeo. Why are you pestering her? Aren't there other pretty girls around? I see how bad she is. And that she is suffering. I must help. The only thing you have to do is survive, not help everyone you meet. When will you remember that? Naruto didn't answer. He wanted to follow this unfortunate woman, but the bell rang and he had to go to the playground. Today you will throw kunai. You need to hit the target accurately. Take 3 kunai. As soon as you hit with each one, take them from the target and return. At this moment, no one should use throwing weapons. And so another test preparation began. As always, Ino, Shino, Sasuke and Shikamaru threw brilliantly. Hinata, Choji and Kiba not so well, but within the norm. There were also those who missed completely. Kimo Ioki, the teacher shouted, and Kimo, already without traces of tears, took up her position. The first kunai hit the bull's eye, the second flew into the 3, and the third almost went beyond the target, but still hit the mark. At that moment, Namikaze heard. Let's throw it, she'll be leaving now. Let's. It was a conversation between 2 guys he had never seen before. And one of them reached for a kunai. Were they going to break the teacher's rule? Seriously. It was strange, because after that they would definitely be punished. You don't have to be a genius to do that. Naruto approached them, and when one of them was already getting his hand ready, the blonde stopped it. Bastard, one of them, the white-haired one, said in a half-whisper. Take your hand away. No. Do you want to get it? The white-haired one wanted to hit him, but the second one, with black hair, grabbed his hand and pointed at the teacher. He didn't notice the movement, because he was distracted. Let go already. Naruto let go of his hand as Kimo had already lined up and the mentor called out the next name. Namikaze Naruto. Naruto, as soon as he heard his name, stood at the line and began to throw kunai. Alas, no miracle happened and only one of them hit the target, just on the edge of the target. The mentor shook his head and commanded to pick up the kunai. Naruto began to calmly collect them, when suddenly, everything went dark in his eyes, muffled sounds were heard, and he was lying on the ground. Did he lose consciousness? Or what? Do I always have to save you, idiot? Have you completely lost your vigilance? Naruto turned towards the fox, who was sitting on his bottom, his eyes sparkling with an evil gleam. What was that? Why did I lose consciousness? I took control of your body to save you. Someone threw a kunai at you, and I managed to dodge it. Where are your reflexes? The same place as everyone else. Naruto shouted at the fox's tone, but then she said, thank you. I'll soon be demanding from you for every piece of advice or help I give you. Kurama said angrily. Go already. How did he notice? He's crazy, what can you expect from him? It's the Namikaze clan. Naruto heard such cries when he looked back and saw his classmates discussing Namikaze at the gate. A mentor stood to the side, lecturing 2 morons with the kunai he had taken away about safety precautions and good shinobi behavior. Naruto looked more towards those he knew well. Shikamaru looked indifferently in the other direction, Sasuke was interested, and the others were also discussing it. After all, it really was too good to be true. Now the whole school would definitely be gossiping about him. Kurama, of course, saved him, because the kunai flew right into his neck, but such an inhuman somersault would not go unnoticed. And for him too. To the academy with your parents, Shinkins. The mentor said at last. The lesson is over. Naruto finished gathering his weapons and put them on the table. The Shinkins were looking at him angrily. Oh, how angrily. Naruto started looking for the very first victim of their jokes. And he found her. Ran, you're great, she shouted, but she was ignored, and the crowd of students didn't let her get there. Ran, didn't hear again. And he won't hear. They're ignoring you. Namikaze, you're getting on my nerves. Why are you sticking to me like a leaf on a hot spring? I won't talk to you. No need. You could have just said thank you. For what? Kimo asked, puzzled. Because I saved you. They wanted to hit you, but ended up taking the hit. Stop making up nonsense here. I'm not an outcast like you. And next time you say nasty things, I'll complain about you. Complain. And also complain that no one needs you. That you are judged not by your merits or talents, but because you are from a small and useless clan. Complain, and I will see that you have given up and lost the will of fire. Naruto said, losing his temper. He was not a child who did not understand anything or diligently did not want to understand and realize the true state of things. And all his words were aimed right on target. And that is why they hurt the girl even more. Yes, he realized that he acted unmanly and very rudely, but it is better for her to hear it now and realize it than to be forcibly thrown from heaven to earth. You, a monster, she screamed and ran away. Hysterical, he whispered, and walked on. 2 hands fell on his shoulders. Hello, they said, and before he could say anything, a couple of blows flew at him. He managed to block one, but that was the end of his luck, and he was thrown to the ground. Namikaze, you need to sit quietly and accept your inferiority as before. And for touching us, get another. The mentor. Well, let them come, the white-haired man guessed and hit him again while the dark-haired Shinken held him. No one cares about you anyway. And we can do whatever we want with you. Just like before. After several blows, he was dropped to the floor. This is a preview. We have a month left to study here, so don't be naughty. And don't talk to Aoki, or you'll get hurt too. Why are you bothering her? He asked, wiping the blood from his mouth. This is our application to join the new world. We must show that such clans are not worthy of the title of shinobi. With these words, they, looking around cowardly, ran outside. And Naruto began to get up. How can one feel unpunished if one can beat up the son of the fourth in a building full of adults? Kurama. I've already started. Just a little bit will be enough for you. Thank you. Remove only the external wounds. Yes, he would definitely not get even with the fox for the rest of his life. After washing himself in the nearest toilet, he went to class. Trying not to stand out too much, although it was difficult, Naruto tried to concentrate. But still, thoughts of such injustice tormented him. That was why Pain wanted to destroy the world so much. If he had experienced the same suffering, it was no wonder. Naruto had lived only one day with his peers, and he already wanted to either throw a Rasen shuriken at them or run away from the village. Just one day, and not the worst one. And that Naruto had experienced worse, year after year. You can't help but break down. But Uzumaki had experienced worse, and even though he was now a Namikaze, the blood of his parents flowed in his blood. His real parents, and he would definitely try to change the order of things. Maybe not today and not in this village, but he would do it. Definitely. It was already past noon. All the classes were over, and Naruto walked out of the academy gates with his bag. Shiro was already standing, leaning against the wall. He occasionally looked at his watch, doubting that he would make it to his friends, whom he hadn't seen for a month. And who would be leaving for missions tomorrow. Finished? He asked as soon as his brother approached. Okay, then let's go home. And quickly. You don't have time. Almost. Shiro-san, Naruto didn't go even a meter behind his brother. Go without me. I want to train at the training ground. You'll have just enough time. That's impossible, Shiro said. You can't be left unattended. But I won't have time. I want to get myself in order after so many months in the hospital. You know how important daily training is. And I have an exam soon. Shiro hesitated. On the one hand, there was the evening that was about to start, and he still needed to buy gifts and food. And on the other hand, there was his enraged mother, who was scarier when angry than all the Uchihas with Mangekyo Sharingan. Please, Naruto said. I can't leave you alone. Then let me keep an eye on him, said a voice behind me. Turning around, I saw Itachi Uchiha. Commentary on IV. New acquaintance. There is a new hero here, who will enter the story and is shown a little, albeit in a hypertrophied form of relations in society. Well, Naruto is already doubting the village. And there is a month left before the Genin exam. What do you think about the chapter and the characters? About how Naruto acted and what will happen next? And how the hell did Itachi end up at the academy and what does he want? Comments and feedback are welcome. The Uchihas don't change. Itachi Uchiha, Shiro said a little brokenly. His voice was a little scared. Yes, it is me. Why do you need this, Naruto? You have enough to do without babysitting my brother. Shiro, I'm just going to watch him to make sure he's okay after that incident. And they're really expecting you. I just saw your friends heading to the sushi house. Itachi tilted his head slightly. Don't worry, it's not hard for me. If so, Shiro began to step back, and, turning around, said. Then I'll warn Mom. Thank you, Itachi, I'm in your debt. And the brother jumped onto the nearest house and headed towards the Namikaze quarter. Itachi walked ahead. Well, Namikaze, shall we go to the training ground? Naruto swallowed, but didn't move. He looked at the Uchiha. Although he looked like a little boy, in his soul he was already quite an adult, who had gone through many trials. And he saw that Itachi and knew that he did nothing for no reason and out of love for another. No, he was not a selfish bastard, looking for benefits in everything. And the fact that he suddenly appeared here gave rise to some thoughts. Naruto decided to start from afar. Aren't you on duty now? I took the day off, he replied. And you wanted to train to become Hokage, right? Itachi smiled. Something was troubling Itachi, but Naruto was so eager to finally get down to business after such a long wait that he put his doubts aside for a while. But only for a while. Training ground number 12 was one of the smallest and was mainly intended for one person to practice various techniques. Naruto counted the number of himself, and came to the conclusion that the place would be perfect. Itachi settled down near one tree and silently looked at his surroundings, only occasionally glancing at Naruto. The latter deliberately did not pay attention, concentrating on something more important, preparing himself. He did not like what was in the academy at all. Yes, as a child he was the worst student, but even then he could make a seal and do something. And he had skills, since he mastered shadow clones in about an hour. But now there is no such luxury. Naruto started making seals. His mind recalled the cloning technique and what signs were needed for it, but his fingers were interlaced incorrectly, they did not bend as quickly. Oh, Datbeo. It was even worse. He had to start from scratch. From the very basics. Namikaze was being really lazy here. And the saddest thing is that he has a month left before the exams. What are his options? The easiest one is to learn shadow cloning at an accelerated pace, and while he is physically occupied, the clones will work with chakra and learn to control it. But how will he explain how he knows this, mind you, forbidden technique? And Kurama's chakra cannot be taken, and his reserves are a cat to cry over. Another option that he will definitely do is to train day and night. And he should probably start with physical training. And Naruto began to warm up his muscles with regular physical exercises. Legs, arms, hand seals, body. Uzumaki felt like Rock Lee. Sometimes even Guy Sensei's phrase about youth passed through his mind. And how funny it sounded then. And when he was done with that, Naruto took up arms. Taking shuriken, he began throwing them at the targets. And then Itachi spoke up. By the way, what is your name? Naruto almost fell over from this question, throwing the shuriken completely past him. Naruto Namikaze, the boy said. What? No, I just asked. Itachi turned away again and continued to contemplate nature. I don't like him. Let's have a chick, and... No, Kurama. Naruto looked at the Uchiha, but continued again. A shadow of doubt was born in his head, but for now he pushed it inside. Another half hour passed like this. Then it was time for chakra control. What was it that Sakura said? The balance of physical and spiritual energy that was achieved through meditation. Damn, he should have listened better. Although, if he remembered how he had collected senchakra on Mount Myoboku, maybe it would work with regular chakra. Naruto sat down to concentrate. And Itachi spoke again. Are you left-handed? No, Naruto didn't understand again, looking at the Uchiha. And why are you asking? Interesting. Sasuke is left-handed. Sorry for bothering you. Do you mind if I read for now? Of course not, Naruto replied. Their dialogue was so awkward and clumsy that even a small child would have realized that something was wrong. But everyone was playing their own game, and was in no hurry to reveal their cards and guesses. While Naruto was meditating, Itachi took out a book and started reading it. More precisely, he pretended to, because what Kakashi gave him. It would have been better not to give him this perversion. And where did such a calm and emotionless shinobi get so many? Ahem. Feelings to read this book. Itachi looked over the top of the book. Naruto was meditating. Sometimes he opened his eyes to see what Itachi was doing. The guy was reading his book and seemed not to be paying attention to anything. He's looking at you. I see, Kurama. I don't like it. Me too. Uchihas are really cunning. They can strike when you least expect it. Let's get ahead of them. No, Naruto shouted. The tailed beast's hatred for the Uchihas was understandable. And nothing in life had changed that yet. After some more time, when Naruto realized that he needed to work with his chakra even more, he stood up to create a simple clone. Making a seal and concentrating, he created a pile on the ground. Again. Datbeo. And he tried again and again. Each time it was worse and worse, but his fingers were more or less obeying. If he continued like this for a week, he would be able to create techniques, and after 2, he would be able to effectively fold seals. And a sufficient amount of time passed before Itachi spoke again. Aren't you hungry? Would you like some ramen? Why such concern? Naruto wanted to say, but he didn't want to be rude and simply said, I wouldn't mind a couple of servings. Namikaze turned sharply to take out a kunai, but it was nowhere near the speed of the Uchiha genius. The cold steel was already pressed to his throat. What are you doing? I want to know what you are doing in this village. Spy. What are you talking about? I'm just Naruto, son. You could believe it, but I've seen the fourth son a couple of times. And you don't look like him at all. What made you decide? Naruto froze. He was feverishly thinking about what to do next. He didn't want to die at the hands of his best friend's brother. It's simple. Itachi looked at the blonde with his eyes. Naruto never called himself Namikaze, at most his name. Naruto doesn't like ramen. So what? Namikaze interrupted Uchiha. I have changed and realized myself. And I want to be completely different to become Hokage. Oh, thank you for reminding me. Naruto never wanted to become the Hokage of the people he hates. Itachi turned on his Sharingan. But if you, spy, think that what I said is not enough, then you forgot that Naruto is left-handed. And his gait was always jerky, not smooth. Such reflexes are impossible to fake. And you have not looked me in the eyes once during these hours. Damn, Naruto really didn't look into the eyes. It was a habit he had developed over the course of his interactions with various Uchiha and Kakashi-senpai. And it was already so reflexive that the boy didn't think about it. It wasn't for nothing that Itachi served in the military police. He was designed to find such spies and ensure order on the streets. But there was one thing that bothered him. So why don't you kill me if you're so sure I'm a spy? I'm standing before you unarmed. Even if I had bombs and swords in my pockets, I'm no match for you. Why do you doubt it? Why? Itachi thought, but did not look away. Your actions are too strange for a spy. Substituting yourself for Namikaze Naruto, who does not have access to classified information. And if you are a spy, why are your shinobi skills so bad? Perhaps you are too good an actor. Naruto, let me resolve the issue, peacefully. I have experience communicating. I myself. You yourself are a suicide. He himself. Don't grumble. There was silence. Itachi hesitated. For some reason, he didn't want to do anything, although all the arguments were against Naruto. The blonde realized that he had been behaving so contradictorily and unpredictably that even the Uchiha hadn't immediately realized that he was a potential spy. Or maybe he was laughing at such a loser. Who knows what was going on in that clan's head? Even Sasuke thought one thing and said something completely different. And here there is a chance to influence Itachi's decision. But Kurama will not be happy with this plan. The risk was too great, but the result could exceed expectations. Good. You figured me out. I'm not Naruto Namikaze. And if you want to know who I am, look with your Sharingan. I clearly remember that Uchihas can penetrate consciousness and find out the truth. I won't resist. Naruto looked into the Sharingan. Sasuke's brother was a little taken aback. Although he suspected Naruto was not his own, the contrast between a child's body and quite adult speech was stunning. And how does he know such secrets of the Uchiha that only other clans suspect? Naruto, what happened to you? Come on. Naruto almost shouted out of impatience, and Itachi decided to look into his interlocutor's eyes. Minato looked at Hisashi Hyuga. It wasn't his first time secretly visiting the residence. But right now he was trying to convey the obvious to the Hokage. Hinata is not fit to be the heir to the clan head. Compared to Neji, her potential is too low, and if she is given the title, it will be the end of the clan. And do you know how that could end for Konoha? Hisashi, you're in too much of a hurry. She's only 12 years old, there's plenty of time to learn. Neji was that old too. Hugo almost shouted, but he already shows leadership qualities and his mental abilities at that age. In terms of potential, he could be like Itachi Uchiha, who became a Chunin as a child, and a Jonin when he turned 18. And now he leads the military police. This is a unique case. And Hinata can still open up, it just takes time. What are you doing, Minato? Or did Hiyashi promise you something? Our family's secrets. The loyalty that the branch will follow your orders. Are you accusing me of something? Minato folded his arms and looked calmly at Hyuga. The latter calmed down a little. No, fourth, I just want you to understand that the Hugo clan may fail you in the future if you don't take action. And about the Uchiha. We need to wait a year. They don't want to do anything yet. Minato didn't let him finish. The clan council is not on their side. I agree. Hiyashi nodded, as if he knew what he was talking about. I can talk to my brother about this. Not yet, Hiyashi. Minato massaged his temples and looked at his watch. It was already late evening. His family was waiting for him. But thank you for your support and for sharing your suspicions. I'll think about them at home. Minato stood up and hung his coat on a hook. Hiyashi took this as a sign that the conversation was over and, bowing, left the office. He had not achieved his main goal, but at least he had been able to understand what Namikaze was trying to achieve. Complain. And also complain that no one needs you. That you are judged not by your merits or talents, but because you are from a small and useless clan. Namikaze. These lousy Namikaze. How they got on the whole village's nerves. Because of them, everything is so bad. Because of them and their laws, part of the village is considered almost outcasts and trash. Yes, Naruto was right, and Kimo understood it. He hit the mark with his words. Well, what did she want? For the Namikaze to be able to feel. What did they do to her clan and family? They killed some of them, and left her father alive only to remind his daughter of her clan's purpose. That they should shut up and just follow orders mindlessly. Namikaze, you. Kimo punched the wall. The blow was strong, and she felt pain through the glove. Taking it off, she looked at her hand. Simple, human, standing out only with a bluish, barely noticeable tint, under the skin. The strength of their clan and their curse. Because of it, their family is valued, but at the same time, they are not allowed to take the position. It's all simple. You need to approach the fourth and shake his hand. Without a glove, and she will rid the village of this evil. But who will let her into the residence? Anbu are not fools, and, according to my father, they guard the Namikaze family as strictly as the Uchiha clan. This damn symbiosis of the Uchiha and Namikaze. Kimo, classes are over already. A voice said behind her. It was their ninjutsu teacher. Oh, you're crying, is something wrong? No, senpai, I just hurt myself. Kimo quickly pulled on her glove. I think I'll go. I heard about what happened in the training hall. The Shinken attacked Namikaze. Even for them, this is too provocative an act. I'm worried. Why are you telling me this, senpai? Kimo turned around halfway. It doesn't concern me. Perhaps. Misu simply said that during your throws there was some commotion among the students. And then suddenly after you, Namikaze was attacked. I am not hinting at anything or casting suspicion. For me, every student is a future defender of the will of fire. I don't understand. Goodbye, Aoki, and the old man walked briskly into the corridor. What do you mean? What does this have to do with me? Kimo called after him, but he didn't even answer and soon disappeared around the corner. The girl added in a whisper, the old stump is talking in riddles again. She looked outside and saw the sun setting over the horizon. Damn, I need to buy groceries for dinner. And run for medicine, otherwise the pharmacies might close. Kimo ran out into the street. She still had to go to work tonight to feed her father. Naruto was right. She was pathetic. Maybe the teacher was hinting at the same thing. Commentary on V Uchihas don't change. The events do not occur in sequence, but at different intervals this evening. I warn you. I understand that the chapter is a bit short and has some formulaic snot, but I still wanted to tell you a little about it. And in the next chapter we will have about Itachi, Naruto and Kurama, an expert in communication with the Uchiha clan, LVL 100. Write your reviews and comments. Hello, Nine Tails. The light of the torches illuminated the room, but not enough to see it completely. Itachi looked around, but did not yet understand where he had ended up. This was not like a normal human subconscious. Human thoughts tend to change, chaotically rush about and be confused. Unlike the Yamanaka, who worked with the consciousness itself and what a person was thinking at the moment, the Uchiha Sharingan penetrated deep into the subconscious. And if there was chaos in a person's head that he controlled, then deep down it must be even worse. And although there were many rumors about the Itachi clan that attributed incredible abilities to them, in reality they could not read a person like an open book. That's why Itachi was surprised when he saw such a calm place, where he was aware of himself, where he could imitate breathing, walking, speaking. It was more like the Jinchuriki's cell. But that's impossible, Itachi muttered. The village couldn't have sent spies to use its main weapon. You're right, Naruto nodded. I'm not a spy, and I'm not Naruto Namikaze. My real name is Naruto Uzumaki. The guy came out of the darkness and saw the same guy as in reality. He smiled. Naruto Uzumaki. Yeah, he nodded. And here he is. Naruto didn't have time to finish speaking, as a red paw landed in Uchiha's place, but Itachi managed to dodge and jump back a few meters. Kurama, what are you doing? I'm saving you from this Uchiha. The fox swung his tail and tried to hit his opponent. They can't be trusted. 9 tails. Itachi was even more surprised, but it did not affect his readiness for battle. You are sealed in Akane. He dodged all 8 tails. Better shut up and fight, Uchiha. The 9 tails slashed its claws at the air, but still missed. Don't move, you bastard, I can't hit you. Kurama, stop this immediately. Otherwise, I will take action. Naruto shouted, but it was no use. Kurama was too excited by his sworn enemies. Hatred consumed him, not allowing him to think sensibly and logically. It is not for nothing that he is called the demon of hatred. Naruto, go away. Kaden. Fireball. Itachi launched 2 balls one after another, but Kurama blocked them. And then he responded with a fist. Itachi dodged at the last moment, and managed to throw the shurikens into the demon's knuckles in midair. It didn't do any harm to the fox, but it made him very angry. When Uchiha landed, the tails managed to knock him off his feet. His body rolled on the ground. Subconscious is subconscious, but you feel pain for real. And when Itachi opened his eyes, he saw an incredible stream of chakra coming out of Kyuubi's mouth, forming into a ball. This is incredible power. Will the Sharingan cope with this? Itachi was already preparing to use it, but Naruto got ahead of him. He lifted his t-shirt and twisted a seal on his bare stomach. An arch fell from the sky and crushed the beast's head. Apparently, it had power, since the chakra flow stopped gathering. Naruto approached Kurama and, unexpectedly for the Uchiha, the boy punched him in the nose. His mouth dropped open in mute surprise. Naruto wasn't afraid of the beast. It was a bloodthirsty monster that killed for the sake of killing. And the boy not only wasn't afraid, he also scolded him. Datbeo, Kurama, what the hell are you attacking for? Are you completely out of your mind? Where did you get the seal? The fox asked, coming to his senses. They didn't seal a tailed beast inside you in this dimension. I don't know, and don't avoid the conversation. Because of you, now I don't know how to convince Itachi. Thank you. But this is Uchiha. Even Akamichi. What difference does it make? Stop dividing everyone into clans. Doesn't the fact that he's human mean anything to you? Okay, I know you hate all humans. But maybe you could at least listen to them before you attack. Who are you to scold me? And take this arch off me? No, you behaved badly. Bad fox. Itachi cleared his throat, hinting at his presence. Naruto and Kurama looked at him like arguing parents when they realized that their child was watching them argue. Naruto, what's going on here? How did the 9 tails get here? And who are you? I am Naruto Uzumaki, from another world. I was thrown here for some unknown reason. I don't even remember what happened to me at the last moment in that world and why I ended up here. There I am, the Jinchuriki of the tailed beast. As far as I know, tailed beasts are sealed and not allowed to escape. I saw Akane's subconscious and how she holds the Kyuubi with her chains. The Uzumaki can do that, Kurama said, remembering his stay in Kushina. It's not necessary. Tailed beasts are not animals, each has its own soul and feelings. And Kurama is no exception. I was able to befriend him in that world. Become friends. More like form a partnership, muttered Kurama, who never liked that word. Oh, you can't confess again, Naruto smiled. Wait, Itachi threw up his hands to prevent another argument. Honestly, it was hard to comprehend what was happening. The first thought was that they were crazy. No one had ever been able to establish a connection with the beast inside you. And the fact that they were from another world sounded like nonsense. But on the other hand, the Sharingan recognizes the truth. They can't lie. So you're from another world? Yeah, Naruto said proudly. And you're telling this to someone who can tell the clan head, and then the Hokage, so that you can be captured and interrogated? Itachi said in all seriousness. Exactly, Naruto said, not at all embarrassed. Oh, no, that's not what I meant. It was a joke. Kurama said with a grin, idiot. Despite the situation, he found it amusing to watch this situation. I don't know, Itachi replied, sitting down on the floor. It's very hard to believe. And I have no guarantee that you're not a danger to the village. It's possible that you're a spy from another world. It's too complicated for him. His brain can't handle such a situation, the fox remarked sarcastically. Kurama, Naruto shouted. Trust me, I definitely don't want to hurt the village, I'm just trying to figure things out and try to adapt to the situation here. My world is very different from yours, although we have a lot in common, the same shinobi, the same familiar faces. Are Sasuke and I the same? Well, they have the same character. You don't have to tell me. I don't want to know. It's even worse than knowing your own fate. Tell me a little about the village and your world. In general terms. Naruto sat down opposite him and began his story. He did not reveal the whole truth, but at the same time he did not lie. He told about his friendship with Sasuke, about what the village was like during Tsunade's reign, a little about himself and his life. The difficulty was that he had to bypass some things. Naruto was afraid that he could influence too much and change the history of this world. Itachi never interrupted or even objected to the delivery of information. Rather, he looked more at the intonation and facial expressions. When Naruto finished his tirade, the Uchiha stood up from his seat and walked a few steps, thinking. I'm inclined to believe you. But the situation is complicated. In theory, I should consult with the clan elders. No, they'll give me over for experiments then. And I'm not that strong yet. I'm so weak that I don't even know how to use chakra. Naruto, understand. I know that you are a man of honor and must protect Konoha. You told me this back in that world. But if I just live without standing out, that won't be necessary, will it? Without standing out. This is coming from the guy who shouts Hokage from every corner, Kyuubi said, but was ignored. Maybe. I'll think about it. But I'll keep an eye on you. If I see even a hint of danger from you towards the village or your family, I'll kill you personally. Remember that. Of course, Itachi. Naruto agreed. And could you tell me a little about the local customs? Few people talk to me because I'm an outcast. And books aren't as informative as a living person. In fact, Naruto didn't particularly like reading large volumes. But only a little. And let's get out of your subconscious. Most respected Naruto Uzumaki, the great and illustrious puppy, Kurama said very caustically and with intonation. Could you take this off my neck already? The first Hokage was Hashirama, Itachi began, but Naruto stopped him. I know that. I would like more details, starting from the period of the Kyuubi's attack on Konoha. The sun was already half hidden behind the horizon. Its last rays illuminated the training ground. Naruto and Itachi sat under a tree opposite each other. The Nine Tails attacked the village at night. The shinobi didn't know why it attacked. It seemed like it was set on by someone. Obito. What does Obito have to do with it? He was leading all the civilians out during the attack. It doesn't matter. At that moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage, along with Anbu and Junin, were fighting him. Before we sealed him, he was able to bury a decent number of our comrades, including the Sandame. Why did he break free? As far as I know, he was sealed inside my mother. True, Itachi nodded, but the birth was difficult. And the chakra flows were disrupted, which gave the Nine Tails a chance to break out. The fourth, after this incident, became more rigid and stricter about safety. He even personally found Tsunade-sama and brought her back to the village. From that moment on, his character changed dramatically. Changed. So he was different before the attack? Itachi nodded. Why? I don't know. It's not customary for us to talk about this topic. Since that day, he has ruled harshly and maneuvered between the clans, not giving one of them sufficient power, but creating stratification of the population. I don't want to get into politics, so as not to burden you. Can you tell me more about the stratification? In my world, it wasn't that noticeable. Why is there such discrimination against some clans here? Naruto remembered that girl from the academy and that he saw Sakura. I don't really like this topic, but well, you should know about it anyway. There is an unspoken and not entirely legal system in the village, which some call circles. In the first circle are the largest and most powerful clans, which have power and secret knowledge that distinguishes them from others. These are Hyuga, Uchiha, Aburame, Akamichi, Yamanaka, Inuzuka, Nara. In the second circle are not the most powerful clans, and they can even consist of one person, but they have some honor and respect, and they are taken into account if they want. Sarutobi, Senju, Namikaze, Hitaki are some of them. And the third, these are clanless or clans that are close to such a position. Noharu, Ioki, Lee and so on. Clanless are forbidden to study in the village and use chakra by law. It is going to ban the third circle from holding any posts at all. Circles? What nonsense. It's unofficial. But the Hokage doesn't prevent such division, sometimes I even push others to it. How many times have I caught those who openly insulted or humiliated others? It's still disgusting. It's discrimination. Naruto hung his head. This village is going in the wrong direction. Why do they treat me like this? Because I'm not in the right position. No, it's just that you, or rather that Naruto, are not a very desirable child. The Hokage would be happy to reject you or get rid of you, but doing it openly is not very honorable. You understand that yourself. Naruto nodded. He realized that it was easier to imagine that Naruto was disgracing the family, that Minato was trying to do something, but you know, blood relatives. Disgusting. And all clans support this game. Everyone wants power. Itachi stood up and brushed himself off. It's already dark and I'm afraid you need to go home anyway. Okay. Can I ask one last question? Do you want to be my teacher? Itachi choked on this statement. No, it would be better to look for someone else, and he, without looking back, went forward. The boy followed him. I need to talk to Shisui, Itachi thought at last. The moment of change, the attack of the local Kyuubi. After that, Minato changed, and his character became completely different. And the village policy itself changed. There was no such relaxation as the third. And instead of unification, there was division. Deep division. Right and wrong shinobi appeared. People became cruel and not always adequate. But who was behind this attack, if Obito was on the village's side? If Obito wasn't behind the creation of Akatsuki as it was in his world, then did they even exist? Maybe Yahiko, Nagato, and Konan weren't trying to found them. We'll have to find out later. Now Naruto realized that this wasn't Konoha. Not his Konoha. His friends from that life here were probably completely different people, raised in different conditions. Naruto couldn't even imagine what they would become if his best friend, Sasuke Uchiha, started smiling. He was becoming increasingly sure that this situation would not change if he became Hokage. So he had to act differently, or leave the village. The thought of becoming a missing nin flashed through his mind. A missing nin was not necessarily someone who killed left and right. It was someone who betrayed. No, Naruto, that's not what you were thinking about. You can't betray what is dear to you. You just can't. And even more so, it is impossible, with his sad shinobi skills. With depressingly sad ones, he tried, while he had the opportunity, to learn the basics in a month without a senpai. He succeeded, although with difficulty. In a month, he only learned what any, even weak, graduate from the academy can already do. He can't even dream about any, cadence, feuilletons, and the like now. The main thing is to pass the exam, and then think about his future. The good news was that his family stopped caring about what he was doing. Maybe they were convinced that Naruto didn't want to embarrass himself and graduate from the academy. Or maybe he really was such an unwanted child that even they didn't care about their own son's fate. But it was for the best. No supervision and complete freedom. The exam day was approaching. During this time, he was caught a couple of times in an empty corridor and beaten, his notebooks were cut up, or he was simply bullied. He did not try to fight back. He was not in the right category, and graduation was coming soon, and if everything went well, he would simply make the team. But he tried to establish contact with his classmates. Almost no one spoke to him, and they tried to distance themselves in every possible way, but there were exceptions. Hikaru, from the not-so-prestigious Sumoko clan. Or Adaiko, a nice, boring girl. They were such rays in this dark kingdom. They were not his friends and sometimes were even afraid to communicate with him, so as not to be ridiculed, but occasionally after the academy they met. It was while walking after such a meeting that he passed by the restaurant, Dango. He hadn't liked this restaurant as a child because it didn't sell his favorite food, although the place itself was decent. And by chance, his gaze fell on Kimo Aoki. There would be nothing strange about it if she wasn't dressed as a waitress. So she works here part-time. He couldn't help but remember that conversation and wanted to apologize, but he caught himself. Now wasn't the best day. Tomorrow was the exam, and he would only make things worse for her. Here, she noticed him and began to look around a little nervously. Naruto quickly retreated further down the street. Kimo, don't stand still. You have 3 orders. Yes, boss, the girl shouted, and quickly went to get the orders. Why did Namikaze come here? What did he want? To laugh at her? Or would he be rude again? It doesn't matter, the guests won't serve themselves, and she needs to think about work. So, congratulations on passing the exams to those who passed them. Based on the results, as well as your personal qualities, you were assigned to teams. The teacher turned the paper over and continued. Team 10, Yamanako Ino, Shikamaru Nara, and Akamichi Choji. Your coach is Sarutobi Asuma. Team 9, Sasuke Uchiha, Sarutobi Kaoru, and Toshiro Aburame. Your coach is Yamanako Miko. Team 8, Hinata Hyuga, Inazuka Kiba, and Shino Aburame. Your coach is Kurenai Yuhi. Oh, I'm not on Sasuke's team. That's weird. Kimo was thinking along the same lines. She wasn't assigned to Kyoru like she wanted. Ahem. Next up, Team 7, Naruto Namikaze, Kimo Aoki, and Hikaru Sumoko. Kimo slammed her head on the table, realizing the fuck she was in. The person she hated the most was now on the team with her. Thanks to whoever made those damn lists in the first place. Your coach. Okay, your coach. Damn, I don't have it written down. You'll have to wait here, maybe he'll come. I'll stop by the residence and find out about this mistake. Everyone else is free to go. The teacher and almost all the students started to leave the classroom. Some shouted, there weren't even enough trainers for you losers. When the classroom was empty and the three of them were left, his head was suddenly pressed against the table from behind. Naruto didn't expect that. Namikaze, I hope you didn't tell anyone that I work. No, Naruto said, and then abruptly took her hand and pulled it towards him. Aoki fell down, and he quickly grabbed his teammate before she came to her senses. If this is your secret, I won't tell anyone. You, Namikaze, cannot be trusted. I don't care, he said in the style of Sasuke Uchiha. But we're a team now. And I don't want to be on the same team with someone like you. The girl kicked him in the stomach and tried to slap him with her hand. Naruto jumped up and prepared to hit in retaliation. A fight broke out, in which Hikaru did not interfere. More precisely, he did not know what to do and preferred to stand aside. Maybe you can stop poking me like that. I have a name. I didn't notice him, Namikaze. Insufferable girl. Jerk. Ahem, I can hear you from the hallway, someone said from behind the doors. Their new coach. Commentary on V. Hello, oh nay-tailed. I had to speed up the events again, so as not to describe everything that happened in a month. I apologize for such a choppy narrative. And in the manga, the main adventures began in the team, and here I will not deviate from this tradition. And as many have seen, this is where Naruto's character and worldview begins to split. I tried to describe a little what kind of division there is in Konoha, I hope I didn't go too far. I left the canon teams the same, because there is no point in changing them much, in my opinion. Non-canon started with Team 7. You can express your opinion on who became the coach of their team, if anything, Kakashi exists in this universe, as does Obito and Rin. Thank you for reading. Don't forget to leave your comments and feedback. 7. Team 7, or everything anew. 1 month before the exam at the academy, Uchiha Quarter. Itachi walked down the road towards his home. The Uchiha district was quiet at this hour. Either everyone was at home or on duty at the police station. It was time for him to go to his father's house too, but today's event had upset him. Naruto, who turned out to be not the same boy he had seen throughout his service. It was hard to believe. But the fact that he wouldn't go and report to his father was even more difficult. On the one hand, Itachi intuitively felt that Naruto was not dangerous. But on the other hand, what the hell was intuition if he had to do his duty? Maintain order, prevent unrest, and this boy could potentially become one. Who guarantees that when everyone finds out that he is a fox, everyone won't fight for him? He will become a useful, loved one, and so on. Doubts tormented his soul, and the only one who could dispel them or calm his soul was Shisui Uchiha. He was the one he was looking for that evening. Shisui was sitting on the roof of his house, eating noodles. He always liked to look at the forest from above, or at the waterfall that could be seen in the distance. How he was attracted by the landscapes of nature. If he could draw, there would already be piles of drawings gathering dust in his room. But among the many talents of the Uchiha, there was none. Eating away the bitterness with noodles, Shisui heard the sound of footsteps on the tiles and said, "Hi, Ida, I thought you were on duty." "I took the day off," he replied and sat down next to him. Shisui offered him some noodles, but he refused. "Surprising. And I was sure that you were a workaholic. I remember that your whole family tried to persuade you to take at least one day off and spend more time with your family, and then you yourself." "There was a reason. I wanted to visit Naruto. And find out if he's a spy." Itachi turned his head in surprise. Shisui swallowed his noodles and continued. "No, I'm not reading your mind, Ida. Despite your intelligence and genius, you sometimes act in a straightforward manner. And how long have you understood this?" "Since your visit to the hospital. As soon as you said that you visited not only Sasuke, but also Naruto, I began to suspect something." "Shisui, you can read minds after all," Itachi smiled. "So, what did you find out? Are you really a spy?" Worse. Now it was Shisui's turn to be surprised. An alien from another world. Shisui thought. "Are you sure? He let me into his subconscious himself." Itachi told his best friend everything in person. "Yeah, I would have considered it nonsense if I hadn't seen how Obito moved. Whether it's nonsense or not, you know what will happen if the truth comes out. Danzo's hunt for your eyes will seem like a mere trifle. You really do like to remind people of bad things, Ida, Shisui smiled. Then I'll have to keep an eye on him. Itachi stood up from his seat. You know, I can't be around all the time. And you're suggesting that to me? His friend continued for him. I think Fugaku would have figured out what to do with him better. I don't want to involve the shinobi elite ahead of time. And it would be suspicious if the Uchiha clan suddenly started keeping an eye on Naruto, who hasn't been shining all these years. They might think something is wrong. You're right. Then we'll figure it out ourselves. Shisui also stood up and turned to Itachi. Thank you, Itachi smiled. Sorry for getting you involved like this, but you're the only one I can turn to. You're the one with the noodles. He poked his finger into his comrade's chest. And you haven't forgotten about Sasuke. He's been wanting to train with you for weeks now, and you've been ignoring him. Itachi nodded and looked down. The fires in several buildings had already gone out. Everyone was getting ready for bed, and they needed to do so too. The Uchiha didn't even ask how Shisui would keep an eye on Naruto. Everyone had their own ways of achieving their goals. Ahem, I can hear you from the hallway, their new trainer said from behind them. When they turned around at once, they saw Shisui Uchiha himself. He was wearing the standard Uchiha clan uniform with his usual tanto on his back. Kimo was so surprised by Uchiha's appearance that she forgot about her argument with Namikaze. Hikaru didn't know about the coach and didn't understand why his current teammates froze. So, deciding to take matters into his own hands, he asked. Hello, are you our new coach? Yeah, he sat right down on the desk and clapped his hands. If you're Team 7, of course. Yes, we are Team 7, Hikaru didn't understand the irony. But we don't know your name. For some reason, our teacher couldn't find your name. Because the Hokage only approved me last night for lack of other candidates, the senpai said, not hiding it at all. I am Shisui Uchiha, pleased to meet you. So, everyone abandoned us. And that's why they sent you. To kill you. What? Shisui turned to Kimo and raised an eyebrow. This is a bad joke. I came to teach you everything I know. I'll tell you right away that I'm not a very good teacher, that is, I can't teach you like at the academy. But I'll try. Of course, senpai. We are very happy, Naruto said, trying to divert attention to himself. The guy looked meaningfully at his teammate. What kind of nonsense is she talking? Where does such hatred come from? This is not Sasuke Uchiha, whose clan was cut out. Sorry, we were just a little surprised that you are our new coach. Honestly, we thought that they had already forgotten about us. Since we are talking about honesty, I have a proposal. He sat down on the table and looked at them. Everyone will tell a little about themselves, about what they love and hate, about their dreams and fears. This is all necessary to raise the team spirit and strengthen the bonds. Do you agree? Naruto, just like Shisui, sat down on the table in the first row. The genin realized that this was very similar to their first meeting with Kakashi. Only he didn't tell anything about himself that day. Will it be the same with Shisui or not? While nostalgia was spinning in Naruto's head, Kimo was staring at their new coach. The blonde didn't notice, but Hikaru saw how tense the girl was. Her entire posture, her entire look said that she didn't trust the Uchiha. Her hands were close to the kunai. To ease the situation, Hikaru approached and wanted to extend his hand to Kimo. She noticed this gesture and jumped back one step under Hikaru's dumbfounded gaze. Don't you dare touch me! She almost screamed. Never. Did I do something wrong? Yes. Born into this world, she said angrily, but there was fear in her eyes, not anger. Don't do that again. Why are you so angry with him? Or have men never touched you? Namikaze, save your perverted jokes for your family. You're just right for kids. That's enough, Shisui shouted. No need to quarrel. You're almost genin, but you're acting like kids who just entered the academy. What if we don't stop? Kimo asked boldly. If you don't stop, I'll send you back to the academy to take the entire course again. Seeing how everyone except Naruto took note of the information, he continued, and since you volunteered, tell us about yourself. Kimo sighed. The prospect of bearing her soul to her future team did not appeal to her in any way. But there was no point in arguing with her senpai any further. My name is Kimo Aoki. I like strawberry ice cream and fairy tales. She was a little embarrassed, but only Shisui saw it. I hate Namikaze and Uchi. The like. I dream of becoming a recognized shinobi and restoring my clan. And fears. I don't have any. No fears. Interesting. Shisui smiled, not believing the girl's last words. So, let's continue. I'm Hikaru Sumoko. I like to play my flute and compose music. I don't like it when people yell and sort things out. My dream, I don't even know. Maybe to open a store. Or to become a teacher. I haven't decided yet, and I'm afraid of spiders and death. Commendable. To admit that you are afraid of death. For every shinobi, this is an act. And now it is your turn. I am Naruto Namikaze, the son of the 4th Hokage. I love ramen and my friends. I hate it when someone thinks they are above others. My dream is to become the Hokage of this village, and I am afraid of ghosts. Ghosts? Shisui asked in surprise. They don't exist. If you're so sure, then I won't argue. Naruto didn't even try to convince his senpai. Okay, since you've all introduced yourself. Hey, Naruto jumped up. And you, Shisui senpai. You are also a member of the team. And you should tell us about yourself. Shisui smiled. Your truth. Once again, my name is Shisui Uchiha. I like to talk to people in Dango. I don't like killing needlessly and try not to cause harm if it is not necessary. My dream is for real peace to come to the village someday. I hope you want the same. And my fear is losing someone close to me. The last words were spoken with bitterness. Uchiha remembered his clan, Sasuke, Itachi, Fugaku, his father. How would he feel if he lost them all? Would he seek revenge? Or would he go into depression? But now was not the time for such thoughts. In front of him was a team of children who had such cockroaches in their heads that adults could not even dream of. Their short stories spoke volumes. It was not for nothing that the novice senpai asked them to speak out. Before they could become one, they needed to sort themselves out. It would not be easy, but they had to do it. Shisui believed in this with all his might. So, even though I'm late due to bureaucratic red tape, there's still time to test your skills and teamwork. Which doesn't exist. Kimo chuckled. We won't know until we try. Shisui laughed and jumped off the table. Everyone to the training ground. Shisui kept glancing at Naruto the entire way. Was there another boy inside the body of this previously unnoticed boy? Either it wasn't true, or he was a damn good player. To be honest, Shisui really wanted to see Namikaze's true strength, but he knew it was dangerous. Anbu never slept and was always watching him. And what did you think? After all, even if he was an unloved son, he could be kidnapped or killed. It was dangerous to talk to him openly, and using the Sharingan like Itachi was too suspicious. What would the Hokage think if the Uchihas were climbing into Naruto's mind one after another? Naruto noticed everything. He already guessed that Itachi could very well have told his senpai about everything and asked him to keep an eye on him. For peaceful purposes, perhaps, but he still had to be careful. So they walked in silence. Kimo was standing to the side, and Hikaru was looking dejectedly at the floor. When the training ground was nearby, Shisui realized that the atmosphere was too oppressive. Cheer up, kids. I'm definitely not sending you to the academy, especially after everything I heard, he joked as he opened the door. I'm sure you'll perk up once you start training. Training? Yay! Naruto shouted, already missing her. At that moment, they stood in a clearing. What do we need to do? It's all very simple to the point of being ugly. You attack me, and I defend myself. Use any means, any techniques you have. Your task is to show your strength and your coordination, so that later I can point out the pros and cons. Naruto nodded. The task was much more difficult for him than last time against Kakashi. Then he at least knew one technique, Shadow Clone. And now he couldn't even use it, because it would be too conspicuous. But for Uzumaki, forgive me, I can't get used to it. Namikaze is not a problem. Are you ready? Shisui looked at them. No one tried to object or protest in any way. It seemed like everyone had decided to let off some steam. Then on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Kimo was the first to rush in. She tried to hit her senpai in close combat with her hands and feet, without a weapon. Shisui easily dodged, without parrying or blocking the blows. Naruto watched with what impetuosity and tenacity she did this, while her senpai simply danced, getting into the rhythm. And then a melody was heard nearby. It was very fast and sharp, like a starling's pipe. It was Hikaru playing his flute. The blonde turned to him. Hikaru, it's not the right time. But Naruto stopped short. He noticed that Kimo's movements had become fast, sharp and had disrupted Shisui's rhythm. Only thanks to his experience and agility did he dodge a very close kick and jump back a few steps. But Aoki also didn't expect such strange speed from her body and fell to the ground. A second later, she stood up and looked at the musician in surprise. Was it you? How did you do that? I simply increased your chakra current using a resonating frequency. My clan can do that, he said, wiping the sweat from his forehead. Apparently, it hadn't been easy for him. Kimo realized that this guy wasn't as lazy as she had thought. He had his own tricks up his sleeve, unlike Namikaze, who stood aside and did nothing. Oh well, that was this guy's personal problem. Phew, not bad. Made me worry, said Shisui. Only the enemy won't watch you argue and will try to attack. Like now, for example. Fireball. Fire erupted from the Uchiha's mouth, gathering into a ball. It wasn't the same size as Kakashi's or Sasuke's, but it was no less deadly. Hikaru jumped to the side. Kimo tried to put it out with her water technique, but Naruto, seeing the futility of this attempt, rammed the girl so that they both fell out of the affected area. Despite this, the fire barely touched his clothes and the guy caught fire. Don't fidget, Namikaze. A couple of kicks, and the fire is out. That's better. Hey, you could have put it out with water release, Naruto said indignantly, rubbing his butt. Oops, I forgot, Aoki said pretending and began to take off her gloves. It doesn't matter. We must unite to defeat our senpai. He has weak points, all we need is AD. But the sentence hung in the air, as the girl, already with her bare hands, rushed into the attack. Dabbao. She tried to hit her senpai with simple taijutsu techniques again. But what's interesting is that she focused on her hands. Kimo tried to touch at least some part of Shisui's body, but he wouldn't let her. At some point, he got tired of it and, having managed to pull out the fishing line, and when the attacker missed, he wrapped the line around his hands and, pulling, dropped it to the ground. Then he jumped back a couple of steps. Don't rush into battle so much. You'd better listen to what your teammates think, weigh the pros and cons. While they were talking, an idea came to Naruto's mind that he wanted to share. Hey, Hikaru, does your melody work in reverse? So you can slow down your opponent? I can, but for a few seconds. My chakra is not enough. It'll do. Hey, Kimo. The girl who managed to free her hands from the trap turned around. Attack on my command. Trust me. Are you laughing, Namikaze? No, I'm serious. Let's leave your hatred for later, and now let's focus on the goal. Kimo looked at her senpai and then at Naruto. She hated Namikaze, but Uchiha was a more desirable target for her. How she wanted to pour out all her negativity and unfulfilled hopes and aspirations on him, no matter how stupid it sounded. Naruto is no slouch. He's already come up with a plan and is going to try to put it into action. He's got good judgment, but we shouldn't give in to him. Shisui ran towards Naruto. Naruto also wanted to close the distance. When there were only a few meters left, he shouted. Sexy jutsu, let's go. Uchiha clearly did not expect to see a naked woman so close. Although blood did not gush from the senpai's nose, it clearly disoriented him for a few seconds. Kimo appeared from behind. Shisui, despite such a disadvantageous position, managed to dodge. The years in Anbu were not spent in vain. But something unexpected happened. His body slowed down a little. Just a little, but it was enough for the girl to touch Shisui with her finger and fall next to him. Naruto, who had managed to take his form, ran forward by inertia, tripped over his partner and flew a couple of meters. Hikaru was breathing very heavily, as if after a 10-kilometer run. Shisui did a somersault and landed on his feet. Phew, that was close. And they realized. What is it? Senpai started coughing. His head was spinning and his vision was blurry. He fell to one knee. Blood was coming out of the corners of his mouth. She actually touched him. Unbelievable. Hey, what happened? Naruto asked, confused, standing up. Shisui senpai, are you okay? I feel bad. Can I help you? There's no way to help him, the girl chuckled, standing up. He's already dead from my poison. You're unlucky, senpai. No, Shisui croaked. Yes, it was stupid to die like that. Commentary on 7. Team 7, or everything anew, a bit of a short chapter, due to the fact that the session is too much for my brain. A little plagiarized from the first episodes of the anime Naruto, but the new is well forgotten old, don't you agree? And then there will be missions and battles and even intrigues in the village, when I get free from the session, hint. Rene. I'm waiting for your feedback and comments. 8. You are a murderer. Shortly before the exam at the academy, Hokage's residence. Shisui knocked on the door. Hearing the phrase, come in, he opened the door. Minato was already getting ready to go home, clearing away unnecessary papers from the table. Seeing Shisui, he said. You're just in time. I was about to go home. The file on your team is on that pile. He pointed to the far pile of papers, on which lay a folder. The Uchiha came up and took it. Are you sure you want to leave Anbu? With your stats, you could have risen to captain. Lord Hokage, I want to try to teach the children something. And I wonder if I'll become a senpai or not. If I'm worthy of this title. Minato was taking off the Hokage's cloak at that moment. If you had contacted me earlier, I would have given you a better command. Fourth, what's wrong with her? Your son is there, isn't he? Shisui asked, leafing through the progress of his charges. Shisui, the fact that my son there does not make idols out of these genin. This is a team of the most untalented students with their own cockroaches and psychological problems. Perhaps they will come to some good. Senpai tried to defend his future charges, but Minato interrupted him. Unfortunately, no, it was not for nothing that I mentioned the problems. Naruto has a tendency to commit suicide and hurt people. Kimo from the Aoki clan is obsessed with revenge on the Uchiha and Namikaze clan and the exaltation of her clan to the highest level and therefore is even ready to kill, and Hikaru is simply worthless with his ninjutsu. Then why did you collect them if they are so worthless? Tradition. It would have been too confusing if I had left them without a team. After all, they passed the exams and received the title of genin. I see. Shisui leafed through the file and reached the place where each person's characteristics were described. Naruto is clear, but do Kimo and Hikaru have unique jutsu? I'm just curious what can be expected from them. You can read it in the file. Minato looked at his watch, but I have time, so I can tell you a little. The Aoki clan has a defect in their bodies that causes their chakra to produce poison that is fatal to anyone except themselves. Until about the age of 14 to 16, they cannot fully control its production. Therefore, anyone who touches them can die. The most dangerous concentration is at the ends of the chakra channels, on the fingers and toes, near the mouth and nose. Such a strong ninjutsu, Shisui thought. But for such a feature, one has to pay with an ordinary life. But what is he talking about? It is exactly the same in their clan. For the Sharingan and the power of hatred, they received in return the hostility and fear of the inhabitants. Hokage, I feel bad asking, but how is the clan then? How can I put it? Minato, seeing how Shisui blushed, laughed out loud. You are an adult, and you are afraid to talk about such things. Aoki, when they go through the period of growing up, can control the poison. And every month, like snakes, they dump its excess into rabbits or other small animals. Or into a person on missions. So a child can't do that. Why did you let her study at the academy then? She could have harmed the children, especially considering her manic homicidal tendencies. I've been concerned about it for a long time. But she's already graduated from the academy, so let's not talk about it. As you say, Hokage. And Hikaru Sumoko. Oh, this case is special. A musical talent that channels his chakra through an instrument and allows the sound to amplify or weaken his own or others. It seems good, but when I remember how much chakra he spends on this, it becomes really pitiful. His father was still able to hold on for quite a long time, but this uninitiative and stupid oaf has not reached even half the level of his father. I would not have assigned him to the team at all, if not for this case. Well, you understand, Shisui. Is he hopeless too? Uchiha guessed. Minato took his kunai and began to twirl it in his hands. Completely. I don't know yet which of the three is the worst shinobi. Although I don't argue, the clan feature is quite impressive, but, alas, ineffective. Although, perhaps, if he is more proactive and persistent, he will achieve an improvement in this jutsu. Or become a musician, also is an idea. But God bless them. Are you absolutely sure that you want to train them? Mr. Fourth, I have decided. Since I have given my word, I must keep it. I knew you'd say that. Minato smiled and patted him on the shoulder. Good luck to you. If you think they're hopeless and can't be taught anything, come to me. I'll reinstate you into Anbu. But I have to go see my family. Thank you and sorry for stealing your time. Say hello from me. Of course, the fourth said, and disappeared in his thunder god manner, leaving the Uchiha alone in the office. Shisui was tempted to peek at the documents, but he knew from his job that it would get him a slap on the head. But his mind was occupied with something else. Such a biased attitude of the Hokage towards a combat unit of Konoha, which could in the future help to complete a mission or protect the village, was suspicious. Was this the Hokage who should unite the village, and not fragment it? And with such an attitude, he only pushed them further to become missing nin and take revenge on the village. He knew what he was talking about. This phenomenon was constant. Revenge clouded the eyes and did not allow to see anything. But even worse than this, but the fact that people themselves tightened the blindfold on you. Maybe that would change, but not anytime soon. And he still had to worry about the alien of this world and his motives. Plus, the worst thing about this case was that Shisui didn't know how to teach. Unknown time, somewhere in the land of fire. It's here, Kirito shouted, landing next to the corpse. Senpai. Senpai, along with two other members of the team, landed next to her. The first began to examine the corpse, examining the wounds. A sand shinobi. He was caught off guard. The corpse was turned over. The wound was inflicted from behind by a sharp object, most likely a sword. Senpai, look over there. Kirito pointed her finger at a pile of scattered rocks that were not typical for the forested area. He must have tried to use earth element. True, it's just a pity it was useless. Misa, do you feel anything? Yes, the chakra in that direction is quite powerful. The pink-haired girl pointed towards the border of the land of fire. It's probably the killer. It's strange that he didn't leave the crime scene. It's probably a trap, said Senpai. Let's form formation A and move out. Misa, hide our chakra, and you, Kirito, prepare the rasengan. Just in case. Everyone nodded and moved forward. After 10 minutes of silence, Senpai asked. Is he still there? Now. Yes, I feel his chakra, as if he is not going to leave. Good. I mean, bad. The team's Senpai raised his hand and gestured to go around that place. Rei went to the left, and Misa to the right, while Kirito, with her right eye closed, pressed herself closer to the Senpai. And now they are already in a clearing, where a man in a white cloak is sitting. He has a daisy in his hands, and his face is hidden behind a hood. He is looking into the distance, and is clearly in no hurry. The tracking team hid in every tree, watching the strange stranger. But despite their stealth and the fact that the sensor hid the chakra, the white cloak noticed them. Well, at least someone came. I was already bored. Maybe we shouldn't hide, but talk like adults and intelligent people. The stranger looked at the tree where Kirito and her senpai were sitting. Fear flashed in her heart, because the stranger's eyes were shining blue, and his hair was white. Senpai motioned for them to stay where they were, and he jumped down to talk. Everyone except the stranger was on guard. Well, let's talk, he began, but the man in the white cloak interrupted him, coming closer. Where are your manners? First people greet each other and shake hands. Hello, he extended his hand to his interlocutor. Senpai shook it carefully and said. Hello. The men unclenched their hands. Were you the one who killed Shinobi 3 days ago? Wrong again, the stranger threw up his hands. I need to introduce myself. My name is Kimamoto Nakasur. You can just call me Kimi if it's hard to pronounce. Now you introduce yourself. Kenji, Senpai tried not to show that he didn't like all these games. But you didn't answer my question. How impatient you are. Of course, I am. There were 3 or 4 of them, I don't remember. The 3 in the trees were taken aback by such impudence. He didn't even hide it and was proud of it. If he also surrendered to them, it would be suspicious. Senpai thought the same. And why do you need this, Mr. Kimi? You don't look much like a serial killer or a missing nin. You're right. He walked across the clearing and stretched his arms up, as if warming up. But I was told that I had to kill them and steal their talents. You understand that if the boss orders you, you have to do it. Steal talents? Kenji asked, confused, reaching for his katana. Yeah, so they can be collected. We like to collect different talents, and here are some examples like this. I think you call it a kek-genkai, right? Kimi turned to face Kenji. But it's not polite to try to kill me while I'm talking to you. We don't want to, Senpai said. We just want to interrogate you. If you don't resist, then... No, I'm afraid I'll have to resist, since captivity is not in my plans. And the master will be very angry and punish me. So... Come on, Kenji shouted and jumped back. 2 fire elemental techniques flew at the stranger. At that moment, Kirito jumped down and saw their opponent disappear behind a water prison aimed at himself. But as soon as the pressure of the fire subsided and Kimi wanted to remove the water dome, the girl said, Shinra Tensai, and the enemy flew uncontrollably towards her, straight onto the kunai. A second later, the weapon was already sticking out of his heart, but instead of a death rattle, he smiled and stroked her face. Rasengan, how interesting. And only one eye opened. Isn't the spirit of Indra and Ashura enough? Or is your soul not ready for this? Why, she took her hand away from the kunai and stepped back. Not dying, he pulled the kunai out of the wound, which was beginning to heal before his eyes. Senju's self-regeneration. One of my trophies. Without forgetting to speak, he dodged Kenji's katana and Rei's fishing line. And stop waving your toys around, it's uncultured. Magnetism technique. All four of them in the clearing felt their weapons being drawn to the stranger. Shurikens flew out of their bags, katanas were torn from their hands. The team members had to unfasten them to avoid being thrown after him. Now everything is fine, Kimi said, looking at the pile of scrap metal. Rei, Misa, Dawn combination, the senpai shouted. Dark technique. The element of lightning. 1,000 lightnings. The man in the white cloak looked at the once clear sky, which was suddenly covered by clouds. It became even darker than on a moonless night. You couldn't even see the man standing in front of you. But even this state didn't last long. Numerous lightning bolts struck one point, the man. It was a stunning sight. Kenji nodded, realizing that nothing could help him here. However, the laughter puzzled everyone. That tickles, Kimi laughed. Your genjutsu can't affect me at all. He made hand seals, and everything instantly dissipated. But since you're having such trouble with genjutsu, I'll show you how it should be done. No one had time to prepare, as sharp and flexible spikes burst out from under the ground. They pierced their bodies, tore them apart, tore off their arms. The sight was horrific and bloody. But the shinobi were experienced and knew that it was an illusion, a deception. It did not make them feel hot or cold, the pain was real and no one could get out of the genjutsu. After several hours of such torture, they were released. Each coughed up blood and wiped away sweat. The body refused to understand the illusion and perceived everything in reality. They trembled. What was that? Kirito said with trembling and tears, while the others could not utter a word. Just a simple genjutsu. Shinra, Kirito began, but her mouth was shut. Resisting, even after such torment. Uzumaki are always stubborn, but it's useless. We can't be defeated, although many have tried. Kimi thought, I wouldn't mind taking away the Rinnegan and your techniques, but my strength is not enough for that now, so we'll make do with a simple memory erasure. He made a few seals and Kirito fell asleep. When she was woken up, she asked in confusion. Misa, leave me alone, let me sleep. Kiri, damn it, get up. Because of you, I spent 2 shifts instead of 1 last night. You should have woken me up earlier, Namikaze stretched. Has Senpai gotten up already? Yes, he went on reconnaissance in search of other shinobi corpses, and ordered us to prepare food and collect our camp things. Yeah, right, they need to get up, or their Senpai might be really strict, especially considering they've lost track of the culprit. And why does her Rinnegan hurt so much? Our time. He's already dead from my poison, Kimo said. Are you sick? Namikaze came close to her. Fix what you've done. I wouldn't even think about it, Namikaze. You want to become a criminal. Betray your family and village. You're definitely sick. Namikaze shook her shoulders. No, I want to revive my clan, and that's impossible if. A slap flew into her face. It's not nice to hit girls, but for one like this, an exception can be made. How are you better than the Uchiha? Killing your senpai just because of your clan. And have you thought about the consequences? Naruto grabbed his head. Hikaru, we need to call the adults. Hikaru nodded, and Naruto looked at the girl. She was lying on the ground and looking at Naruto distantly. Her gaze was completely different, full of fear and despair. Damn it, what have I done? I didn't think. I don't know. I didn't mean to. A stream of incoherent speech poured out. Naruto grabbed her hand and said calmly. Calm down. You must have an antidote. If you tell me how to make it, you can atone for your guilt. At least after this we will talk and figure everything out. Okay. Naruto, when did you become so wise? Kimo wanted to say out loud, but she didn't. Instead, she said, Naruto, did you touch Datbeo? Namikaze cursed, looking at his hand. Commentary on 8. You are a murderer. No, it's not Sakura. Sorry for the description of the fight, it's not the skill that will be developed yet, I'm waiting for comments and feedback on this chapter. Ix. Everything is fine. Datbeo. Namikaze cursed, looking at his hand. Well, great, I'll die again. Again. Kimo was surprised. I misspoke, the blonde corrected himself. Better tell me how to make an antidote. And stop crying, it won't help now. Kimo sat on the ground, confused and afraid. Why, you ask? Because it's one thing to dream and make plans to revive the clan and kill those who ruined your life, and another to put them into practice. How will you feel when the first blood is on your hands? Even if you imagine yourself as a bloody butcher in your dreams. Even if you are a shinobi, it is not so easy to cross the threshold where you are already a killer. This act, which was caused by blind rage and pride, accumulated over the years and completely blocked out reason and logic. And the latter said, "You fool, why would you do this to a person who can make you stronger and more trained? And how many loud words? I will kill you, Uchiha." Damn, it's like deja vu. If Naruto knew how similar this was to Sasuke. Or does it just seem that way? Hikaru wasn't there. He had run off a minute ago to call for help. Naruto hoped he would hurry. Shisui had been coughing up blood for a minute and was trying to get up, but he couldn't. Namikaze came up and said, "Senpai, don't move, help is coming." "Won't make it," he whispered. Naruto felt sorry for him. A man was dying in his arms, and he couldn't do anything. Not Hever. Kurama didn't heal other people. His chakra was only useful to the Jinchuriki himself, not to ordinary shinobi. "Don't worry, he'll make it in time." Namikaze tried to calm his senpai. Turning his head to Kimo, he shouted, "Stop crying, pull yourself together." Naruto. "I did something stupid." Naruto. "This is no time to whine." He jumped up to her and looked her in the eyes. "Many have made mistakes. I knew one man whose thirst for revenge overwhelmed logic and common sense." Naruto, take a break. Dash ellipsis. And still he pulled himself together and abandoned such a thought. "So you calm down, Kimo, and think about the antidote." Naruto, answer me already. "Well, Kurama, we have a problem here. Senpai and I are going to die in a few minutes. Your senpai has been dying for 10 minutes now, and he still can't. Turn on your brain, Naruto, and think why. There is no antidote for this." She shouted, but then looked down. "I'm sorry. Kurama, what do you want to say?" "Oh, Hagoromo, why am I being punished like this? I'll give you a hint for the especially smart ones. Your sensei has been dying for more than 10 minutes with only symptoms and posture, the sounds of nature have died down, and your Hikaru hasn't arrived yet. So this is it." Naruto. She waved in front of the boy, who had been staring at one spot for a minute. "Oh, sorry." Namikaze sighed and stood up. Looking around the area, he noticed everything Kurama had told him. And it all really did add up. Why was he so inattentive? "Shisui senpai, isn't this a genjutsu?" Shisui coughed up blood, but he had done the same thing a minute ago, without changing his position. Naruto did not notice this small inaccuracy, as he was too excited by the behavior of his partner and the pressure of circumstances. An unforgivable mistake for a shinobi who had been through a war. "You figured it out, Naruto." The world began to peel off. The illusion was gone. Shisui was leaning against a tree. The entire team was lying nearby. Even Hikaru, who should have been in the village screaming for help, was nervously looking around, trying to figure out what had happened here. The only one who figured it out. An inner voice told me, under the loud and evil laughter of Kurama inside. Namikaze stood up and looked at his senpai. "Did we pass the test?" "Yes." Kimo and Hikaru were shocked. What did the test mean? How did the stupid Namikaze know about it? And what was senpai testing with this performance? And I didn't believe it. Naruto smiled, and the fox inside him sighed meaningfully. "Well, maybe just a little bit. I'm glad that. Explain to me what's going on here." Kimo jumped up and headed straight for her senpai. "Why were you making fun of us?" "Oh, I wasn't kidding. I just wanted to see what you were capable of." Kimo stopped. "Some of you will be able to show leadership qualities, some will try to come up with a plan, and some will want to be a killer. So, in your opinion, I am a murderer?" "No, a killer won't fall to the ground and cry for his victim. He won't doubt, and he certainly won't regret his actions." Shisui moved towards her, and the girl fell to the ground in surprise. "Kimo, you thought you would be a killer to avenge your clan. And you got it into your head that this was your only path. But there are many other possibilities that you don't know about. Just look around and take a look around. Think about it, and remember, killing is not as easy as it seems at first glance. You know a lot." She began to cry, and covering her eyes with her hand, she ran towards the village. "Kimo," Shisui shouted. "Damn, I just wanted to explain everything to her. Yeah, I'm a good teacher. Senpai, she's just a teenager who doesn't know what she wants in life. It's not your fault that her head is empty." "Thank you, Naruto. But I'm more afraid that there's already something in your head." Shisui looked at the sun. "I declare that our first training session has come to an end. You've shown yourselves well, all of you, without exception. But there's still work to be done." Everyone present began to disperse, each thinking about their own. One was a little sad about his teaching skills, another was thinking about his unusual experience of being in a genjutsu, and the third was arguing with his inner voice in the form of a fox inside him. During the heated argument, both sides agreed that Naruto was an idiot. Team 7. Team 7. Team 7. Is it a coincidence or not that this number appeared even in his second life? A mockery of fate or a hint at the predetermination of his actions? Or maybe just one of 1,000 coincidences that will come his way? The cool sensei with the mysterious face. The girl on his team with a mental disorder. The silent second teammate. The futility of their situation. You might think that all this is far-fetched or looks too artificial, but Naruto has seen worse accidents in his entire past life. Sometimes he feels like he's in the infinite Tsukime, only it's not a happy and joyful life. And Kurama, unlike him, was calm as a fox. Naruto wanted to have the same centuries of experience as this beast, maybe he wouldn't get into trouble. 4 months have passed since that checkup. Kimo, Hikaru, and Naruto, under Shisui's direction, have been doing all sorts of tasks, from sweeping the streets to moving boxes in the archives. Simply put, D-rank missions. How Naruto hates such easy things. He couldn't stand them as a child, and now, when he was one of the strongest shinobi, not in this world, but still, he couldn't stand them either. But there is one change that Naruto has carried through his life. Such missions are important, and there is no way to get away from them. And their team won't be given anything more serious. Kimo still hadn't spoken to anyone, only to her senpai with phrases like, "Yes, senpai, as you say." During training, she didn't interact with the team at all, withdrawing into herself and becoming detached. No, she didn't hate them or try to show that her comrades were worthless. This was something else. Shisui senpai spoke to her every week alone. It was interesting to watch how senpai tried to be a good teacher. Unlike Kakashi senpai, who was late and trained rarely, which does not detract from his merits, Uchiha was sensitive and observant. It is commendable to have such qualities in a village where even your own brothers and sisters hate you. Team 7's senpai trained them, tried to identify their strengths and cover their weaknesses, arranged personal lessons with each one. Simply put, he developed teaching skills and studied. Just like Genin's. Okay, kids, I see your progress is quite impressive, the senpai tried to praise them, although they were progressing very slowly. We've mastered walking on wood and on water. Not all, Naruto coughed, still having problems with his undeveloped chakra channels. You're already doing better, Naruto. You've reached almost the middle of the lake without falling through. Well, almost, considering that he walked on water as if it were ice, with his arms outstretched and walking at a snail's pace. In that time, only Shikamaru wouldn't have killed him, and that would have been because he was too lazy to do such a thing. No one argues that it's better than 4 months ago, when he couldn't even walk on water. But he still wanted concrete and quick results. Shisui looked through his notebook, which had written down what he could do next. Now let's work on teamwork. I've been trying to strengthen you and make you stronger these months. As a separate link in the chain, you have become a little stronger, but together you are weak. The connection between you is thin, and it would be easy for an enemy to break you at the junction of the links of the chain. Shisui was a little confused, trying to find a good example. Before we start studying different formations, I will say it again, we are one family. We must completely trust each other, cast aside the past and never stop. I hope I'm not being too boring. No, Shisui-senpai. Naruto gave a thumbs up. I understand what you said. Friends should always come first. Well, almost. At least that's good. We trained and practiced various techniques for 4 months. You saw each other continuously, and now I want to hear from you personally, each other's strengths and weaknesses. What do you mean? Hikaru raised an eyebrow, spinning his flute. We already know that. Why do we need to talk about it? Maybe so. But an outside perspective never hurts to improve your skills. That's what senpais are for. But don't forget about your comrades, who can also notice details. And when your comrade knows your weakness, he can cover it up, hide it. The same goes for your strong side. Shisui sat down on a stump and looked at us. And you should also learn to be honest with each other and not be afraid to tell each other. The genin looked at each other, then at their senpai. 4 months had not brought about any camaraderie between us, and now Shisui was trying to speed up the process even more. The other teams had already worked together and were carrying out new difficult missions, but his team was marking time. Many senpais sympathized with the Uchiha, trying to persuade him to abandon these blockheads and return to Anbu. But he continued. Shisui refused to believe and think that they were weak. He just needed to find an approach to them, to understand how to make his students strong. So, Let's start with Kimo. He pointed towards the girl. What's wrong with Naruto? Senpai. Aoki looked at him and became a little embarrassed. Can I at least tell you first? No, Kimo. Everyone will go through this procedure. Senpai, this is too much. Naruto tried to stand up for her, seeing the whole situation. I think. Kimo, go ahead. No one will judge you for this, I promise. Kimo looked down and sighed. Shisui was adamant. Okay, Naruto, he's too impulsive. She paused, but her senpai nodded for her to continue. He rushes forward without thinking about the consequences. And he's bad at ninjutsu. Really bad. Now, what is Naruto good at? Naruto is resilient, and sometimes he can think. If you stop him, she looked at him and blushed. And he is also responsible in. So, I didn't ask you to talk about character traits. Now about Hikaru. He's too slow and slow-witted. He can get confused on the battlefield, the girl said more confidently, increasing the tempo. Especially without commands. He also doesn't know how to fight in close combat. And the strong ones. His chakra control is better than all of us. And his jutsu is powerful. Good. You're doing well. Now Naruto. Naruto, who still found the idea disgusting, nevertheless began his speech. Kimo-chan is the strongest among us in taijutsu. She has no equal in speed. She is a tactician, and if she didn't cloud her head with all sorts of nonsense about clans and revenge, she would show it better. Kimo-chan is also the best in ninjutsu. If only she were a little less emotional and more cold-blooded in making decisions. Namikaze. Kimo turned to him, hurt by such a description. Shisui raised his hand and interrupted the argument. I didn't start this for nothing. Continue further. After Naruto and Hikaru completed this strange task from the teacher, Shisui wrote down some things and slammed the notebook shut. Excellent. You've learned more about yourself. Now let's move on to learning formations, before the Chunin exam. What? The Chunin exam? Why don't I know about this? Naruto was indignant, jumping up. I want to participate. I accidentally let it slip, Shisui smiled. You will participate if you show that you are worthy of it. And there will be teams participating, and you are only Naruto Namikaze, Kimo Aoki and Hikaru Sumoko, but not Team 7. Kimo and Hikaru sighed heavily, showing that they had no chance in the exam. Only Naruto was determined and had no doubts about his results. It's okay, we'll do our best, senpai. Right, guys. He turned to his teammates. Hey. Naruto, I'm sorry, but we won't succeed. You saw our results. I agree, we need to skip the exam. With what we have now, we will lose 100%. Kimo spread her hands and turned away. What, are you giving up already? Giving up without even trying? What do you propose? The girl flared up, having tried to control her temper for several months and not hurt her friends, but now she was fed up. Go and lose shamefully. We are the most insignificant team in Konoha. They will beat us to a pulp there. I agree with Kimo. It's too early for us to get involved. I think we'll try in a year or two. Naruto shook his head. How he hated it when people retreated from their goal. Yes, he was an adult in a child's body, but it infuriated him. But at the same time, he understood them. No one wants to embarrass themselves in the village by losing over and over again. And you need to evaluate your strength sensibly. It was not for nothing that Shisui tried to hint at this with his strange task. Although, maybe this was just his inept teaching attempt to do everything well. So, children, you still have 2 months until the exam. You will have time to think. And now, Formation A is used in those cases. Shisui began to tell the truths for each shinobi. Commentary on X. All is well. Missions in the Chunin exam await Naruto and his team. But will they be able to overcome themselves? And will they become stronger? Find out below, as well as some details about this event and new enemies. And I hope you enjoyed this chapter. I'm trying to get inspired and improve myself as a writer. Arc 2. X setting out on a journey. At the Hokage's residence, a month before the exam began. So, you are assigned a C-rank mission. You need to deliver a package to the Land of Rivers, to the village of 3 Lakes. Recipient. Aranese Sagake. Hand over the package and return. Any questions? What's in the package? Namikaze asked, to which he received a nudge in the side. The Hokage, who was telling them the mission in his office, folded his hands and replied. There is something valuable for this village there. There is nothing more for the shinobi to know. That's good. Here's a map of the area. Minato handed the scroll to Shisui. The mission is easy and shouldn't cause any problems. You may go. Yes, Yondaime, Shisui bowed and pushed the children towards the door. When the door closed behind him, he breathed a sigh of relief. Hokage-sama is in a bad mood today, so it was best not to tell him anything. But I didn't say anything like that. Naruto crossed his arms. My dad. Your dad has a headache right now, connected with the Chunin exam. So there's no need to bother him unnecessarily. Now, we have time. I'll go pick up the package and run to a few other places. Your maximum task is to collect the equipment necessary for the hike and dry rations. We'll meet at 4 o'clock at the main gate. As you say, Shisui-senpai, the three said and ran to carry out the order. Shisui secured the scroll to his belt and headed for the exit, but he was called out. Shisui, have you finally decided to come back? A female voice asked him, in which the notes of steel were recognizable. Uchiha would be able to recognize these shades even if he was unconscious. He turned around. Hello, Akane-sama. It's a pleasure to welcome you. No, I've picked up a new task for my team and am now heading out to complete it. Are you still babysitting these little ones? She remembered that her younger brother was on this team, which made her face twist. These aren't your level of work. Fighters like you shouldn't be doing small jobs. I consider this a kind of expansion of my skills, teaching genin. And in my place, Itachi-san will replace my skills brilliantly, Akane-sama. Akane-sama, Akane-sama. Stop calling me that, it makes me mad. Namikaze's fox eyes flashed for a moment. Uchiha knew that this family's nature was extremely impulsive, so he decided to give in. Forgive me, Akane. Still, your position obliges me to call you that. And you're overly polite, she winked at him. Oh, and I wanted to ask you out on a date this evening, but it seems it's not meant to be for both of us. Shisui wanted to get out of this meeting, which Namikaze had been trying to arrange for months, but the following event saved him. Akane, I'm waiting for you. The Hokage's voice came from the office. The girl didn't even move. Good luck to you, Shisui, in this difficult mission. They said goodbye, and when Uchiha left, she whispered, I hope my brother finally dies. Akane, I understand that it's romantic to make out with Uchiha in front of my office, but have some conscience. At least in front of your own father. Of course, Hokage-sama. Of course, Hokage-sama, she said mockingly, sitting down on Minato's desk. Don't be angry, Daddy, you know how much I like him. I hope I mean what I thought. Minato muttered, taking the right sheet from the stack and handing it to his daughter. Here is your mission. Rank S, track down the missing nin from the snow village. Try to capture him alive and well. You will have a squad of censors and fighters at your disposal, as always. Wow, he has quite a profile here. And blood ninjutsu. And this unique guy was in the snow village. I wouldn't mind fighting him. She got off the table and began reading the entire dossier, pacing back and forth across the room. Akane, I repeat, track down and capture, not fight. I'm already taking a risk by letting the Jinchuriki out of the village on a mission like this. The last thing I need is... Papa, do you doubt me? The Jinchuriki leaned towards Minato. I am the strongest Jonin in this village, I have subjugated the tailed beast to my will, I possess 3 elements and I am an excellent katana user. It is not fitting for a genius like me and the future Hokage of this village to be afraid of a brat like Toshiro Nomu. Even a simple name, I can quickly deal with him. Akane, please calm your pride. It's not pride. I honestly know what I can do and what I can't. And if I'm sure that I can defeat him, then so be it. And I will complete the mission, rest assured, my Hokage, Akane grinned. Is that all? Yes, Minato turned his chair toward his window. You can go. Before the sentence could be finished, Konoha's yellow lightning heard the sound of a door slamming shut. Someday, the vanity of his beloved and intelligent daughter would bring her to a sad end. And Naruto, Kimo and Hikaru had already left the residence and were moving along the main street of Konoha, discussing what they would do today. Okay, we need to gather equipment for this mission, Kimo said. We need kunai, bandages, shurikens, provisions, money. Namikaze, listen up. I'm listening, Naruto said, putting his hands in his pockets. I'll take the shurikens, I have plenty at home. And kunai too, no problem. Okay, Hikaru, then you'll get the provisions. And I'll take the bandages and the first aid kit. Commander, Naruto muttered cheerfully, to which Kimo propped her hands on her hips. Well, it's not you, idiots, who will think about this. At least someone has to take on these obligations. Senpai is already unhappy with me. Oh. Not happy. You misheard, Namikaze. Kimo got angry at him, trying to hide her mistake. After that incident, her mood and motives were constantly jumping. Sometimes she tried to distance herself from them, sometimes she took the initiative too much, sometimes she scolded them for simple things. The girl was trying to find herself in this world, and Naruto understood that. But he did not miss the opportunity to do it. Yes, I understand, stop screaming, hysterical. And then what are we going to do? There's still plenty of time left. We can go to the hot springs or to Ichiraku Ramen. I don't mind about the hot springs, Hikaru interjected. We could use a wash and some refreshment. And we could eat before we head out, too. What do you think, Naruto? Yes, of course, he said, taking a crumpled piece of paper out of his pocket. Yes, let's meet there. I forgot to do something. Naruto ran quickly down the street, turning the corner. He's strange, Hikaru said. Have you noticed how inattentive he is? I don't give a damn about this Namikaze. I hope he doesn't forget what we agreed on. And I have something to do too. Kimo turned around and headed in a completely different direction. See you later. Hikaru shrugged, not understanding anything about the relationship between these two. Either hatred, or misunderstanding, or something else. Although, it's better not to think about it. He's stupid, and this explanation suits him perfectly. He took out his flute and began to play a melody. Naruto, you're chasing ghosts. What makes you so sure that this will make you feel better? Shut up, tailed one. I haven't seen her for ages. I miss her. I'll keep quiet, but... Enough of this useless talk with the ball of fur that part-time played with his conscience. Naruto wasn't looking for his best friend's address for this. She lived in an ordinary neighborhood, far from the shinobi districts. Here lived the common people, traders, artisans, only indirectly connected to the shinobi world. After 10 minutes of wandering around the area, he found the right door, on which hung a slanted sign, Haruno's house. The house was small and slightly dilapidated, but it was clear that it had not been neglected. Traces of fresh paint and newly planted flowers were visible, adjacent to an already destroyed wall or a slanted porch. The family tried their best to make the house beautiful and cozy, but they did not have enough money. Naruto prepared to knock on the door, but his hand stopped a centimeter away. The words of the tailed beast that penetrated his head reached his brain. She would open the door for him, and what would he say to her? Hello, I am that Naruto from another world. Well, the one you know nothing about, because in this reality we don't know each other. How are you? Sounds very stupid. He lowered his hand and clenched his fist. Damn, where did his confidence go? When did he become so weak? Or was it the atmosphere that disoriented him so much? He had lost his footing and was trying to find someone to lean on. The situation with his childhood was repeating itself, when he ran around looking for himself until he found the teacher Iruka, who was able to direct him to the path he was now on. He was not here, and there were no people who were close to him. Old comrades like Sasuke, Hinata, Neji were completely different, and he had not yet met the new ones. And it turns out that he was all alone. And it was necessary to create new connections, but there was still hope to stretch the threads to the old ones. That's why he was standing at Sakura's house. He turned and headed away from the house, but a familiar voice called out to him. Sir, were you looking for someone? The voice of Sakura Haruno, a member of Team 7 and the one who had retained her love for Sasuke. She stood before him now, wearing a dirty apron and holding a knife that had a piece of lettuce caught on it. Her hair was long and well styled, despite the hard work at the stove. No, I have the wrong door. Sorry for disturbing you. Naruto couldn't stand that look, but Sakura continued anyway. Are you a shinobi? You have a shinobi protector on your forehead. Yes, shinobi. I had a friend whom I hadn't seen for a long time. Ino Yamanaka, do you know her? No, I don't know. Too bad. Maybe you still need help. Sakura bit her lip. No, I don't want to distract you. I'm late for a mission, sorry to bother you. Naruto retreated and ran, or rather fled, away from this house. Sakura, who was there? I don't know, Mom. Some weird shinobi said he was in the wrong house. The girl shouted, closing the front door. Thank God, we don't need any trouble. The last thing we need is for them to come and evict us. Are you sure that's not why he came? I don't know. I'm telling you, he's too weird. Sakura sighed, fantasizing that she could have become a shinobi too, if not for the Hokage's order to refuse to accept people like her. But she found her place anyway, making various crafts for children and earning a measly pittance from it. Sakura, your soup is running out. The devil. She rushed into the kitchen and returned to her usual home world. Dad, I'm going on a C rank mission, Kimo called from the doorway, entering the room where her father was lying on a small sofa. He was covered with a blanket up to his waist and reading a book. When his daughter entered the room, he put the book down. Rank C. Well done, my love. That's already a promotion. Thank you, Dad. At that moment the girl was looking through the cupboards, taking out all the food and putting it on plates. Oh, soon you will be all grown up. And when you pass the exam and become a chunin, you will be able to make our dream come true. The lying man spoke into the air, immersed in his thoughts. You will revive our glorious Aoki clan and show Namikaze and Uchiha that we are stronger here. Of course, Dad, she didn't even argue with him, putting the hastily prepared dinner on the table. But at that very moment he grabbed her hand with his death grip. Dad. You need to be more confident. We need to make our clan stronger and save the village. It will only get better without the Uchiha and Namikaze. Do you hear me? I hear you, Dad. Kimo tried to break free, but the man's fingers were squeezing her hand with unnatural strength. His eyes were full of anger, and his teeth were grinding. Do it, for the good of the village and us. Kill them, kill them. You are strong, you will become even stronger. As you say, Father, Kimo was already able to break free from his grip and retreated a few steps, crashing into the corner. What's wrong with you? Why are you so scared? Before, you agreed with me and supported me in everything, but now you're scared. I'm not afraid, Father. Aren't you afraid? Then why have you started spending less time with me? You're always training with your Namikaze, you come home in the evening and don't even want to talk to me. You've changed. I haven't changed, Father. She cried. I still want to take revenge on them. But I'm weak, and I need time. What a time. You've been on this Namikaze's team for 4 months, and at the academy for several years, and in that time you haven't even tried. He sat down abruptly on the couch. The blanket fell off him, and his legs, or rather lack thereof, were exposed to Kimo. She had seen this sight many times, but still everything inside her clenched. You forgot, but I haven't forgotten. This reminds me every day. Every day. Dad, calm down. I'll do my best. Kimo left the room. I asked Koda to look after you while I'm gone. She'll be here soon. The money is in the dresser. I've prepared some food. She said it quickly, like a tongue twister, grabbed a spare first aid kit and ran out of the apartment. As soon as the door closed, she slid down the wall. It was one of 1,000 conversations in her life, which was repeated day after day. The same one, with all the fits and anger that she encountered. And she, seeing this, as well as her father's suffering, which he had to endure when simply going to the toilet or for a walk. She wanted to take revenge on those who did all this. To get to the Hokage, who allowed their clan to be slaughtered, to the Uchiha, who as military police could have stopped it, but did not lift a finger. To the other clans, who did not stand up for it. Maybe even become a missing nin. But she was weak. No one needed her. She was so weak that even when she tried to kill her senpai, she burst into tears and disgraced herself in front of everyone. A murderer, yeah, but in reality a whining and eternally complaining girl. Why did this conversation seem disgusting to her? Why did she recoil from her father, see something terrible in him, and for the first time be afraid of everything he said? She looked at her gloved palms. No, she was still full of determination and revenge. She still wanted revenge. But why were her hands shaking, and her body becoming so weak? What was happening to her? Commentary on Arc 2. X setting out on a journey. I tried to go a little dramatic and describe the inner world of our heroes and what is happening. I hope my first attempt was successful and you were able to feel it. I will be glad to receive comments and feedback. 11. Customs gives the go-ahead. Team 7, consisting of Naruto, Kimo, Hikaru and their sensei, Uchiha Shisui, were moving towards the Three Lakes village. The journey had already lasted for several days. The group moved slowly, stopping for breaks. Their mission was not too important to run themselves ragged and lose their breath. Although it was not worth stretching it out either, given the fort's temperament. Along the way they came across villages and rarely cities. Replenishing their provisions there and stopping for the night, they continued on their way. For Naruto, these were familiar places that he had visited during his training with Jiraiya. Both there and here, these were mostly poor settlements producing some resource, be it rice or iron ore. The inhabitants were very diverse and for the most part were afraid of shinobi. But at the same time, they respected Minato, believing that he had done a lot for them. For example, asking the daimyo to soften taxes or sending shinobi to protect the village from marauders. Naruto understood that he did it not because he loved everyone and wanted the best, but rather for selfish reasons. But the boy did not remember Tsunade doing the same. Perhaps Tsunade was not as experienced politically and economically as his father. Or she was hindered. Or there were 1,000 other reasons. How strange it all seemed. In Konoha everything was too cruel and difficult, but once you went outside the village, it was the opposite. Naruto, despite being quite old, having lived through the war and seeing how politics can interfere with people's lives. But even for him, the fourth's behavior was still quite strange. Or was it just that the image of his father in his head did not match reality? Deep down, not without the help of the red furball, he understood that this was not his father. This was the father of another Naruto. This was a stranger to him. But why did his heart refuse to accept this? Why did he want to consider him his father, just as he wanted Kushina to be his mother? As well as to have brothers and sisters, his own family. Yes, the orphan syndrome took its toll and he was glad to even live in such a family. He liked to communicate with his family, even to receive insults or humiliation from them. How long this will last is unknown. What are you thinking about, Naruto? Hikaru asked him, taking a break from playing the flute. He liked to play it on the road, composing various melodies. Your face looks sad. I just remembered about my family. About my father. Did you have a fight with him? Hikaru tried to pry out, but Naruto shook his head and showed that he was not in the mood for conversation. Sorry. Don't apologize. You didn't say anything like that. Sorry. Ouch. Hikaru scratched his head. I was raised to be polite all the time. I can't even get rid of that habit. It would be better if you got rid of your uselessness, not your politeness, Kimo said, insulting her partner in her usual manner. Look who's talking. No politeness, no usefulness. Whining all the time, even worse than Sasuke with his revenge hysteria, Naruto thought. Who would say? Why doesn't my chakra work? She parodied him during one of the training sessions. Hey, at least I'm trying, and not sitting arrogantly by a tree, looking at my hand. Is it gold? No, damn, it's poisonous, Kimo quipped. Idiot. Stupid. Shisui-sensei, will we get to the village soon? Hikaru approached the sensei, so as not to fall under the hot hand of the eternally arguing comrades. Shisui took a sip of water, looked at the brightly burning sun and replied. About 2 days, Hikaru. We'll cross the border of the countries tomorrow morning. The one who does nothing whines. Naruto didn't lag behind. And it looks like you're doing something, Hokage's son. Kimo threw up her hands. How are we going to deliver the package? Hikaru asked. Do we need to meet at night? Throw off the tail, hide. No, Hikaru. We'll just find it and give it to him. Shisui smiled. We won't need such tricks. And if so, then why send 4 people on such an easy mission? A simple training for genin. That is, for you, to show an example of the life of a shinobi. I think it's a bit boring. Sorry, I just thought it would be quite dangerous or difficult, that we would have to show all our skills and abilities to complete the task and defend the honor of the village. Hikaru, your team will have time to show all this. Enjoy these easy tasks for now, because later there will be no time for fun. I see. Thank you very much, Shisui-sensei. Hikaru answered politely and turned back. Naruto and Kimo had stopped arguing, but they were still steaming. Hikaru had already counted 6 fights between the two friends during their journey. They just couldn't get along. Hikaru didn't understand why they were arguing like that. They were so similar and had the same problems in different areas of life. Logically, common problems should unite them, not cause them to quarrel. It was irrational and inexplicable. Hikaru consoled himself with the thought that he was too stupid to understand such lofty matters. Shisui was thinking the same thing. For all this time, he had not been able to resolve the conflict between the two. If Naruto was old enough and smart, but easily lost his temper due to his emotionality, then Kimo deliberately provoked the guy. The novice sensei gave up trying to interfere, believing that everything would eventually resolve itself or that an idea would come with time. Shisui-sensei, is something bothering you? Kimo asked, looking at the Uchiha in bewilderment. After a night spent, they set off along a wide road. A few hours later, they approached a forest and stopped at a small wooden house with a sign that said, Customs. This was the border of the land of fire and the land of rivers. Merchants stopped here to pay duties and declare their goods. In theory, shinobi could easily bypass this place in 1,000 different ways, available to both shinobi and ordinary people. The border of the small countries on their sides was guarded very poorly, which is why they suffered from raids by marauders and robbers. If someone tried to illegally enter the land of fire, then the alarm would be raised and the nearest shinobi would move to intercept the intruder. Team number 7 decided not to be cunning and go straight ahead, so as not to anger the country's and village's leadership for no reason. Shisui had permission to cross the border and stay from the daimyo himself, and he did not need to be cunning and enter illegally. He just needed to wait for the guard to check the documents and let them through. But the shinobi's intuition told him that something was wrong here. Be prepared. Shisui pulled out a kunai and opened the door slightly, peering inside the room. I suspected as much. The boys looked inside. The small room was in disarray. An old man in his night clothes was lying on the floor next to the window. Scissors were sticking out of his chest, and there was a bruise on his face. They killed him? Hikaru asked in amazement, to which he received a caustic answer from Kimo. No, he lay down to rest. Of course, you idiot, he died. Shisui, ignoring the children's bickering, slowly approached the old man and felt his pulse, making sure there were no signs of life. He then looked around the room, trying to figure out what had happened here. Naruto also did not remain idle and asked Kurama, does he feel anyone with chakra around? And having received an unambiguous answer, meaning that he should not disturb the demon of hatred from sleeping, Namikaze calmed down. If Kurama felt something, he would say so without hesitation. The fox, although harmful, is not a fool. Someone was fighting here. Judging by the wound and the quick death, the killer knew what to do. He said out loud. Shinobi. Maybe Naruto. But that's just a theory. A person who knows how to strike and where could have killed him. A medic, for example. But the question is, why? Shisui-sensei, I found the letters. Kimo said, reaching out to the table but pulling her hand back in time. And a tripwire. What the hell? Shisui thought. I take it this is a trap. They heard a whistling sound from below. And after a while, slabs emerged from the ground, which compressed the house like a box, burying everyone inside. Gotcha. A girl of about 11 screamed, looking at what had happened to the house. She was sitting in the shelter with 10 men. And I thought these would be smarter. Forward. But no one listened to her. Moreover, she felt a slap on the head from a thin and very well-built man. Katori, calm down. But Uncle Takeo. Shut up. He hissed at her, giving her a command with gestures to come to the place and make sure that everything went well. The men began to approach carefully, preparing clubs, swords, nunchucks. Someone even had a bow and shuriken. Very slowly they approached the house, which was covered with slabs, listening to the sounds each time. The men looked around with movements that had become automatic and shouted. All clear, Takeo, one of them shouted. Guys, let's clear out and put all the things in one pile. Then we'll divide it up. We know without you, this is not the first day we've been robbing. You know, but you forget. I see how you are already putting one stone in your pocket. Hey, the third one intervened, but no one listened to him. I am telling it to my son, not to myself. Your son's name is Offense, by any chance? Hey, there's something green. The third bandit pointed to the crevice, but the other two were too busy. And you don't interfere in my affairs. I am the commander, I will interfere everywhere. Especially. He was not allowed to finish speaking, as all the rubbish and stones were scattered in different directions by an unknown force. Everyone who was nearby was either blown away or buried. What the hell is that? Asked the commander, who had avoided all the stones and stood up. When the dust cleared, he saw a glowing green skeleton, inside of which were 4 unharmed victims, 3 children and 1 adult. The latter's eyes were glowing with a bloody light, which greatly frightened the seasoned bandit. Your mother. So you're just simple bandits? Shisui said in a steely voice, dispelling the Susanoo. Although one of you has chakra, since you use the earth technique. Sensei looked towards the forest, where the rest of the gang was hiding. Damn it, the commander muttered a few more curses, retreating further and further. He was not a scumbag and fighting a shinobi was not in his plans. The part of the gang that was nearby diligently repeated the movements of the leader. Where are you going? Have you decided to run away? Shisui asked, appearing behind the main man in a second. How can we get to know each other, find out how things are? Auntie. The chief muttered incoherently. Okay, I'll have to try it by force. Shisui adjusted his mangekyu and turned the man towards himself to get into his mind. Well, let's see. The shuriken whistled past his dodging head, accidentally, hitting the man in the eye. He screamed and sank to the ground. Hey, darky, don't you want to meet us? A girl with long black hair, a short skirt and a t-shirt crawled out of the bushes. Stay put and put your gun on the ground, we're going to rob you. Katori, Takeo jumped out of the bushes. Let's go, these are shinobi. They'll kill us if we fight them. But uncle, I want to have fun. And I want to live. He said seriously, but with a bit of fear. Was he afraid of this girl? Naruto noted this important detail. Who are you? Naruto shouted at the top of his lungs, walking up to Shisui along with everyone else. We are the Miroko gang, which robs everyone it deems necessary. And you will be robbed too. Robbed? Kimo corrected her. I know without you, Violet. Violet, ha, I thought you'd come up with a cooler nickname. You know that an attack on a shinobi will not go unanswered. Shisui began. We have orders to destroy anyone who tries to touch us. You're bluffing. You can't touch us, Takeo shouted, putting his hand on Katori's shoulder. You're from Konoha, and your power doesn't work here. You'll be condemned. Are you sure? Shisui asked, feigning bloodthirstiness. And who will judge us for ridding this world of criminals? Uncle, come on, let's attack them already. I want to fight so much. No, Katori. I want to fight, she said hoarsely. Naruto, what's going on there? I feel chakra appearing. Kurama, why didn't you say anything earlier? Because it wasn't there before, idiot. It just appeared now and is getting stronger. Wow, what a volume. I would advise running. Shisui sensei, she has chakra. Dark and strong. I can feel it, Naruto said, to which the Uchiha nodded. Kimo and Hikaru looked at the blonde in bewilderment. Katori, pull yourself together. We need to run before it's too late. Meanwhile, Takeo tried to persuade her. The rest of the gang was completely on Takeo's side and were already almost running away. No, I said, I want to fight, Katori screamed, and her scream echoed through the forest. The bandits, involuntarily, turned around and moved towards the shinobi, although a second ago they were thinking about how to save their lives. The only one who did not give in was Takeo. But the girl grabbed his hand and threw the man over her shoulder like a feather, knocking him out for a few minutes. Let's have fun, Ahu. It sounded like a command to everyone. A fight began to the sound of children's laughter. Commentary on 11. Customs gives the go-ahead. Happy New Year to all. I wish everyone to read good books and have a good mood. I apologize in advance that the chapter is short and too nondescript, but you understand, holidays, the muse is tipsy and drunk, I'm just in a good mood. The second chapter will be out in a few days, where the battle will be described. I think you understand what series this arc was inspired by. Enjoy reading everyone. 12. Who are you? Katori, along with the other bandits who had suddenly changed their minds about retreating, attacked Team 7. Shisui, quickly assessing the situation, commanded. Hikaru, back. Kimo, take the left flank, Naruto the right. And Shisui himself, taking a kunai, headed forward to Takeo. Katori, oddly enough, chose Kimo as her target. She had a knife in her hand, which she used against the enemy with all her might. But unlike the shinobi, she was not very good at it, which Aoki took advantage of, deftly dodging and blocking blows. The latter is not very strong in taijutsu, but even her skills are more than enough against a simple bandit. Violet, you fight well. I thought you could only move with your nose. Katori snapped, clearly having fun and enjoying this action. Kimo didn't fall for the scam and calmly said. Do you like to come up with nicknames? Is that all you can do? At that moment, Kimo kicked the girl in the stomach, and then in the face. Harsh, but effective. I am capable of everything, but do you want to see? She said strangely, wiping the blood from her lips. So show me, bandit. Or can you just act like a child? You're talking. You're still a child yourself. I am a leaf shinobi, and then a child. No, you're just a violet. If you were a shinobi, you would show all your strength. But you're just talking. Kimo clenched her fist. She looked at Shisui, who had only half heard the exchange, and even though he was busy arguing with Takeo, he only shook his head. Aoki sighed. Ahaha, dog, you can't decide anything without your man, Katori laughed, noticing Kimo's strange look. Shisui-senpai, can I talk to you for a second? Did you want something, Kimo? Shisui said affirmatively, moving away from the fire with her. Kimo nodded, gathering her thoughts internally. Sighing heavily, she began. I would like to apologize to you for that offense. No need for apologies. I'm not angry with you, you acted like a true shinobi, using every opportunity to kill the enemy. I still feel guilty. He looked at her intently. I can assume that it is not this, but another circumstance that is gnawing at you. And this is just a pretext. How did you understand? It doesn't matter, said the girl. I'm your mentor, so I should know what happened to you. Is something wrong with your father? Yes. No. I'm not sure anymore. He's just not behaving quite adequately lately. And I'm already doubting myself. Is this somehow connected? Yes. I remember what my father told me. The Namikaze and the Uchiha were evil, and their first goal was to be destroyed before my clan could be restored. I grew up with that thought, I trained with that thought. I was willing to kill for it, because every day I looked at my father and what had been done to him. She turned her back to the fire so no one would see her cry. The last thing she needed was for Namikaze and Sumoko to see her cry and think she was weak. But now you doubt. Yes. After we met, I saw that I was weak to kill. I realized that not all of the Uchiha and Namikaze were evil and vile creatures. I thought about everything for several months. On the one hand, I hated you and Naruto for showing me that I was wrong. And on the other, I was grateful. She wiped away her tears. Shisui did not interrupt her, letting her speak out everything that had accumulated over the months and years. Now I am at a loss. I understand. We are not the best role models. And we have done a lot over the years. Uchiha nodded, which surprised Kimo. But I'm still ready to help you. I'm not here just to train you to be cold-blooded killers. Those who can't think and reason are much worse in my opinion than those who understand everything and are ready to understand their own actions. So, good for you for telling me everything. Thank you. You are truly an unusual Uchiha. It seems you know how to listen. And yet you said you don't know how to teach. Kimo smiled slightly. But don't tell the others about this. I don't want them to know about it yet. If you ask me that way, I won't tell you. I respect other people's secrets, he said, remembering Naruto. But I advise you not to drag it out and tell everyone else everything. You must be one team and trust each other, covering your backs. After all, that's what teams are for. I'll think about it, Kimo nodded. But I have one more request. I've been thinking about my ability and my curse. I don't want to see what you showed me again. I'd like you to tell me when I can use the poison technique. You should decide for yourself, and not shift the burden onto others. I can't, she cried. I'm sorry. I might just lose my temper even more and drown in hatred. And become like my father, whom I love and fear. Please, at least for a while. Until I know I'm ready. Sure. Yes. It's dangerous and I'm afraid that I might hurt those who don't deserve it. And I thought that Anbu asked for strange things. He scratched his head. Yes, the Hokage was right about the unforgettable experience of being a mentor. Only a few months, and he already felt this unforgettable experience. Okay, let's try. It's better for you not to know what he saved you from. Although I'll give you a good beating anyway, little one. Oh, hooray, you gave me nicknames too, she clasped her hands childishly. Taking the knife more comfortably, she rushed into the attack again. Kimo also did not lag behind and also rushed forward. Meanwhile, Naruto was fighting on the other side of the front. His opponents were simple bandits who took quantity but not quality and a nine-tailed fox who woke up at the wrong time and started to sneer. Left. No right. How slow you are. Shut up already, can't you see I'm busy? And I don't. What else should I do? You should sleep, or better yet, give me some chakra. You'll get by, drug addict. Try it on your own, you don't need to waste your energy on small people. Behind. What are you saying? I saw it without you. Yeah, that's why you tumbled across the ground. That was your plan, right? Yeah, I thought it all out in advance. How did you learn the last 3 words? Did you look in the dictionary? Why do I need this punishment? Naruto almost missed another blow. He had already knocked out 3, but 5 were still surrounding him. He didn't have a single technique in his arsenal, only his fists. He would have been glad to learn something, but it took months just to develop chakra and strengthen the chakra channels. If not for Kurama, it could have taken years. But even with his help, it was very slow. His peers were already strong in ninjutsu and elemental techniques, and he only had his fists and theoretically unlimited regeneration. But you can't get far with that either. And the bandits showed it. They had no chakra, no ninja skills, but Naruto had a hard time with them. And the sadness was also in the fact that access to the rasengan and shadow cloning was closed. Without the hermit mode and the biju mode, the latter of which he did not risk using, not being sure of the safety for his body. Something had to be thought up. He felt his body fill with energy and his chakra circulate much faster. Then he heard a beautiful melody that Hikaru was playing. Now he would show them. Takeo, huh, why are you fighting? Shisui asked his opponent. They were fighting with swords, but Uchiha was not fighting at full strength. He turned off the Sharingan and did not use any special techniques. It was important for him to know what was going on here. Intuition told him that the whole situation was not as obvious as he would like. You understand that we can destroy you. I understand, Takeo replied, parrying the Uchiha's blow. But I can't do anything. That is. You wouldn't understand, he said, swinging his sword, but Uchiha easily dodged it. Kotori knows how to persuade. So your niece has genjutsu. That's interesting, he said. He jumped back and dispelled the illusion just in case. Then I'm not under genjutsu. I don't know what you're talking about. Kotori knows how to lead and rule, just like her mother, only she's too impulsive and young. What does that mean? I saw that she has developed chakra and has the makings of a ninja, but she is not a shinobi. Shisui turned and hit Takeo on the head with the pommel. He fell to the ground. Then who is she? I can't describe it in words. It can only be believed, Takeo said vaguely, reaching for the fallen sword, but Uchiha pushed him away and put his blade to his neck. Tell me exactly who she is. And don't lie, or I'll force you to tell me, the Uchiha ordered coldly and harshly, turning on the Sharingan. I'm telling you, it's not easy to explain. He turned his head to the side so that he could see the entire battlefield. Naruto, under the effect of Hikaru's jutsu, had already taken out all the bandits, and Kimo was skillfully knocking the nonsense out of Kotori's head. Their battle had been hopeless from the very beginning. Incompetent bandits who knew how to rob frightened villagers were no match for professional fighters. Kotori, go away. She looked back and saw Takeo lying on the ground. She looked angrily. No, really angrily at Shisui. You bastard, you touched my uncle. Tona screamed and got hit on the head by Kimo. Kotori fell to the ground. Finally, Kimo said, I hope you'll stop trying, little one. You're getting on my nerves. Don't worry, I really like you. I can't wait to meet you. I'll be interested to see if you join us. She turned over and winked at her. Having made one seal, she broke into many pieces of dark silk. This silk spread across the field in a second. The entire Team 7 was blinded, and Shisui was also doubly blinded. Due to the Sharingan being on, he also saw the chakra waves. It only lasted for a few seconds, and when it all disappeared, neither Kotori nor Takeo were visible. Only they and the bandits who were lying on the ground remained. What was that? Naruto asked, looking around. Kimo stood dumbfounded, thinking about the strange behavior of this child. I don't know, Hikaru said, landing next to him. He was sitting in a tree, wisely not interfering in the fight and strengthening his partners. It's kind of weird, right, Shisui-senpai? Shisui didn't answer and, going up to the first bandit he came across, brought him back to his senses. So, who are you and what kind of girl is this? What girl? He looked around, trying to figure out where he was and what had happened here. I don't understand what you're talking about. Don't pretend. You attacked us. He asked in a hoarse voice, looking at Konoha's forehead protector. We're not fools to attack shinobi. Please don't kill us. Shisui let go of the bandit. He didn't use the Sharingan, knowing that he wouldn't succeed anyway. He leaned on his sword, trying to come to his senses. He had used up too much chakra, including his eyes. Naruto, Kimo, Hikaru. Tie them up tight. We'll deliver them to the authorities. And Kotori? Kimo asked. Let's leave it, we have another mission. First, let's complete it, and then we'll figure it out. What the hell is going on here? Commentary on 12. Who are you? Is it the devil? What is going on in this small village? What secrets does it hide? Find out more. Don't forget to comment. By the way, I think you can guess what this chapter looks like and what it pays tribute to. 13. Village of Three Lakes. A line of several people, bound hand and foot, passed through the gates of the Three Lakes village. Shisui followed them, carrying a rattling sack slung over his back. Kimo, Naruto, and Hikaru brought up the rear. The guards at the entrance stared at all this in surprise. And then, seeing their protectors, they gulped. We caught these not far from here. They tried to attack us. You have it well arranged. Even simple bandits have become so brazen that they attack shinobi doing their duty. He spoke very loudly so that everyone could hear and with such iron notes, as if Shisui wanted to pronounce a death sentence on everyone and carry it out right there on the spot. Run after Rio, one guard whispered to another. The other nodded and ran down the street, almost stumbling with excitement and haste at every step. Then the speaker turned around. So they attacked you? Yes. On your guests and those who protect your home from threats. The guard didn't know what to say. The toughness and that confidence, combined with the intercepted initiative of the Jonin, put pressure on him. He had every right to stop them, ask them to shut up or something like that. Shinobi or not, but they were on their land. And they should follow their laws. But that's in theory. In practice, it's very difficult to object to a person who can rip open his stomach with his little finger. Kimo and Hikaru looked around. It was strange that their teacher had changed so abruptly. Naruto suspected that there was some kind of plan, but he couldn't figure it out yet. Several people had already surrounded them to see what had happened. The bandits did not even try to justify themselves or take action. Their fate was unenviable, and so they kept quiet, so as not to worsen their situation even more. So, what's going on here? A voice boomed. A man with a katana on his belt, wearing a tricolored kimono that represented each of the 3 lakes surrounding the village, came out to them, pushing his way through the crowd. Who's the troublemaker? Ah, Miroko. The man crouched down to examine each of their faces. He called them by name, which made Shisui conclude that he knew them much more intimately. Take them away, and you follow me. This conversation is not intended for strangers to hear. He gestured for them to follow him, to which Shisui nodded and beckoned the boys to him. When they left the crowd, he said, "You put on quite a show. And so I understand that this was so that I would come out to you." "Yes and no," the captain of Team 7 said evasively. "But I want to meet you. Shisui, shinobi of Konoha. Ryo, the head of the local police and army." "But shouldn't this be separate?" Hikaru was surprised. "We are not rich enough to support 2 structures. We are a poor village, where 3 peasants with pitchforks are already an army of sorts." "But you still have security," Uchiha nodded. "Yes, there is," Ryo said sternly. "I've only just taken over the post, so I'm trying to make things more organized. But that's not the point. What's important is something else." He walked up to a small house and invited them inside. The 4 of them, followed by Ryo, entered the cramped room that smelled of sake and spices. There was a bowl of rice on the only table, and some papers scattered nearby. When the door slammed shut, he continued as if nothing had happened. "Why did you go past the customs post?" "Which was destroyed," Kimo replied, earning a disparaging glance from Ryo. But Shisui immediately turned it on himself. "Your customs officer was killed, and his place was used as bait to kill and rob travelers. You didn't know?" "This is the first time I've heard of it." Ryo leaned his elbows on the table. "He sent me reports regularly. And his handwriting." "So?" Ryo raked the papers and showed them. "It just arrived yesterday." "If it is a fake, it is a good one," Shisui concluded after examining the letter. "What do you know about this Miroko gang? It is important for us to understand how dangerous they are to our mission." Hikaru fidgeted a little against the wall, and Kimo wanted to be indignant, but stopped herself in time. How cynical Uchiha seemed. He doesn't care about the villagers, only his own safety. But the gang threatens ordinary people and is very dangerous. As expected from a shinobi. "What exactly are you interested in? How many are there? What are their goals? How much?" He laughed loudly. "Half the village secretly supports them, and the other half is ready to join them at the first call. Miroko is an ideal, not a gang. Their goal is to become independent from the shinobi world, and their methods are naive and simple. Rob, kill, show how strong they are. But not every such structure, even in its right mind, would attack a shinobi. Not the right weight class. Unless they won't recruit enough nukenin from your vicinity or acquire a particularly strong one," Ryo said, and gave the impression that he knew exactly who he was talking about. "Katori?" Naruto asked. Ryo nodded and added. "That's her. If you know that name, then you've met her. And, praise the spirits, you were able to leave alive." "Yes." Shisui moved closer. "Her abilities are impressive." Ryo sighed sadly. "And my intuition tells me that she's interested in you. And she won't let you go until she kills you." "Well, we'll see about that," Shisui nodded. But Ryo didn't share the same confidence. One said exactly the same. And even assured that he would deal with her. But his sad end served as a lesson to all of us. "He is the same shinobi as you." "What was his name?" "Aranase Sagake. He disappeared a week ago. I can see from your faces that you recognize him." "Master, what should we do now?" Kimo said sullenly. "The mission has failed, it turns out. We didn't deliver the package." Shisui raised his hand, calling for silence. In the dim candlelight, his gaze became very dark. "Listen to me, Shisui. My job, just like yours, is to protect the village and rid it of threats. I know there are many rumors about you, and not the most flattering ones. And people don't respect you too much, because we had precedents long before this. And shinobi did things their own way, showing their cruelty and power. But when I saw you at the gate, I didn't think you were cruel killing machines. Even your show to attract attention was staged. Don't argue, I don't want to judge you anyway. And I won't. But that's not really our business, your internal problems. We came here to fulfill a mission. And as soon as we make sure that Aranese is dead, we'll leave here. If your gang gets in our way, we'll kill them. If not, we're definitely not going to chase them. We could be useful, the man drawled again. Getting rid of this gang will ease our lot, and you will get a dead or alive Nukenin. Or several. If you change your mind, come to me. And be careful in our 3 lakes. Master, we should help the village. Naruto said with the same enthusiasm he had shown in the mission involving the bridge in Zabuza. Wait, it's not that simple. If Rio is right, we could bring even more trouble on everyone. And we don't all know what's going on here. Shisui rubbed his eyes. We need to rest first. Let's find an inn and spend the night there. Yes, that would be good, Naruto said, still hoping to convince his sensei to stay and train them the next day. I'd like to see those lakes. What about you, Violet? Violet. Call me that again and you'll definitely see them. From the depths, the girl got angry because of the nickname. And you better not call me that. Sorry, I won't. I apologize for the fact that this nickname suits your beautiful hair very well. Yes, you. Kimo choked on her indignation, not knowing how to respond to this insult. Or compliment. Fool. Hey, Naruto rubbed his nose. But still, his soul was uneasy. If everything was so serious in this village and such circumstances were developing, then things were bad. If you think about it, it might seem like fate was giving him another chance, running him through similar events as in his home world. As if he could fix all this and not make mistakes. Like with Zabuza and Haku. Here we are, Shisui said. The sun was just setting. Let's check in and go to bed. Tomorrow will be a hard day. The night passed relatively calmly for Naruto and company. He woke up early, which is unusual for him. Having quickly dressed and washed himself, he decided to wake everyone up. His blood was boiling and pushed him to activity, not to lying down, but the others wanted to rest. And if Hikaru still muttered that he woke up, then Kimo threw a pillow at him. And only Shisui was already cheerful and even sweaty. I warmed up a bit, he said, but the inner Kurama added that he felt the chakra that had been used, and the small traces of blood that the Uchiha hadn't wiped off the floor clearly spoke more about this warm-up. I understand. Then I'll wait with the others downstairs. The coach nodded. An hour later, the entire team, willy-nilly, gathered in the foyer. Shisui came down, holding a scroll in his hands. What was written there was a mystery. He handed it to the owner, thanking her for the warm welcome. Good morning everyone. How did you sleep? Okay, senpai. It couldn't be better. Kimo glared at Naruto, who just shrugged. That's great. Uchiha pretended not to notice that look. I decided that we would stay here for a few days. And in order not to hang around in vain, I decided to organize training. After all, the exam is coming soon and I still expect you to participate in it. Naruto looked at Kimo. Despite the passage of time, she had not changed her mind about not participating. She and Hikaru had boycotted any attempt by Namikaze to motivate them for this important time in their lives. Yes, they were weak. Yes, they were still not a team. And yes, there was shame to be had. But remembering himself and the endless series of failures and shame, he knew that he had to go through this to become better. Shisui was also determined to participate. He tried not to show his confidence in this so obviously, but from the outside he could see that Team 7 was getting better every day. Children wouldn't understand it, but an experienced Anbu and an adult could clearly see such changes. If only they knew that the series of troubles that befell them and the village itself would become a turning point in their history. In the new history of this world. Commentary on 13. The Village of Three Lakes. Training in new techniques. And also the revelation of Katori's abilities and her difficult fate. All this awaits later, but for now we enjoy an easy chapter in our story. Yes, I can't wait to get to the Chunin exams either, but I'm holding on because the guys need to go through changes before continuing on their way. Despite such a delay and my mistakes, I will still be glad to receive feedback and comments. 14. Training and investigations. The Three Lakes village was not called that for nothing. The settlement was surrounded by 3 reservoirs, Akure, Wakai and Rojin. It is worth noting that the second is used for growing rice and catching fish, which is the main share of the village's export. The first serves only as a prayer place to appease the spirits. But the third was mostly technical, where the villagers could relax, bathe, and wash their clothes. The same water fed the baths and other structures in the village. There are legends and local beliefs about the three lakes that people believe in no matter what. Some of them are absurd, and some are mystical and mysterious. Shisui and the team settled on the other side of the lake, on a small clearing so as not to disturb the very rare passers-by at this time. A pleasant breeze blew from the water, and the sun in the cloudless sky did not burn at all. Naruto thanked nature for such a gift. You can train from morning to night, every day. How he missed his favorite training. When they were on the road, they rarely managed to stay at a halt long enough to fully train and limited themselves to only rare warm-ups. But Uchiha was serious. While everyone was sleeping, he stayed awake and walked around the city, learning everything he could. Old habits, as well as Anbu training, helped him make the most of all the night hours. Miroko kept quiet, but the residents, seeing the shinobi, panicked. Rumors were spreading rapidly and for the worse. Any minute now, a group of drunken thinkers could form and try to attack them, which did not please Uchiha, who did not like excessive cruelty. Ryo held them back, but how long would it last? A day, two, and considering that Shisui had seen missing Nin, not the strongest and smartest, but still. The boys needed to be prepared, because he had strained his eyes too much in the last battle and might not have time to recover for the next encounter, which he still wants to avoid. But our wishes do not always coincide with reality. Uchiha smiled sourly. AC rank mission. This is more like AB the Hokage, the character of the people. The generations of shinobi may change, but what doesn't change is that the mission becomes more difficult as soon as you try to complete it. I'm ready, Naruto shouted, and with his ultrasound, he stunned Hikaru, who was sensitive to such a phenomenon. He rubbed his ear and moved away. Shisui came out of his thoughts. Yes, good. Shisui stood in front of them. I wanted to postpone it, but circumstances dictate their own. As you remember, all these months I tried to train you physically and expand your chakra potential and chakra control itself. Although in fact other trainers were already learning new techniques, and he was marking time with them. He reassured himself that he had simply expanded the foundation and strengthened them, although in fact he himself was learning to teach. More or less, we succeeded. You are making progress. Judging by their faces, they did not share this attitude of the teacher. Among them, oddly enough, only Hikaru was able to develop control to a good level. It was surprising that he had not shown such abilities before. The rest were content with only slightly improved taijutsu and throwing kunai. Naruto's difficulty was also that he was recovering from the actions of the previous owner. Thanks to Kurama, this happened quickly, but he was still lagging behind. The boy was angry with himself, because in that world, without the help of trainers, he still surpassed himself in this world at the moment. So we'll start learning new techniques. Yes, Naruto. And not just to new ones, but we'll take another step forward. He took 3 pieces of paper out of the backpack lying by the tree. Naruto recognized them perfectly. Elemental jutsu, Naruto said, and Kimo raised an eyebrow. Teacher, isn't it too early? Maybe. Actually, it wasn't too early, but they didn't need to know that. But it's better for you to make a breakthrough now than to stand still. Besides, the sooner you find out your disposition to the element or elements, the better for us. I already have an element, water. It's passed down from the Aoki clan. That makes sense, since your clan is genetically tied to the use of poison, which requires water. But besides that, you may have a second element. He came up and handed out papers to everyone. The paper is made from the bark of a special tree. You only need to apply chakra to your fingers, and it will catch even the smallest flow. And we will immediately see what happens. Naruto already knew what to do pretty well. It would be interesting if his element here was very different from the others. Broken into 2. Hikaru, you have the wind element. Sound, wind, very logical. So, Kimo, you have it. As expected, water. And the second technique is also wind. Very interesting. And now you, Naruto. Naruto did some light manipulations with 1 sheet of paper. The paper crumpled. Okay. Great. Lightning element. Let's see your second one, if you want. Naruto smiled and took the leaf. He fed it a very small amount of chakra, but then felt a huge flow. So huge that the leaf split into molecules, without showing what element it was. Strange. It doesn't look like ash, but it doesn't look like the element of earth either. Try again. Naruto grabbed another sheet of paper and tried again, accompanied by the loud laughter of Kurama inside, who decided to have some fun for the first time. But the paper crumpled again. He wouldn't see the second element, at least for now. But he was ready to make a fox fur coat right now. For free. Excellent. You have identified your main elements. And now our task is to begin mastering it. Shisui-senpai, I think it will be quite difficult. And during these days, Hikaru expressed our common concern. The teacher was clearly hiding something. That's why I said start. Uchiha said this with a sigh. For some shinobi, it takes several years. I want to believe that you will master it quickly enough. Without clones, it will be quite difficult to do, Naruto concluded, standing in front of Kurama. He shrugged his shoulders in a human way. Every second person in your village could do something like that. What are you afraid of? Rather, I suspect that if I start showing myself and my techniques too well, father. Your father doesn't give a damn about you. Didn't you see how he behaved? I'm still surprised that you're so careful. Instead of rushing headlong and proving your strength to everyone. I would have done it before, but now, I don't know, it's still hard to figure it out and choose your path. And why are you talking like that? Do you really miss those times? No, I don't give a damn about you, I only care about myself, Kurama said, curling up into a ball. Naruto smiled, but his words somehow cheered Naruto up and he was ready to take a risk. Damn it, the fox was a pretty good psychologist, even though he hid it. So for the wind we need leaves, but for lightning. They fell almost dead. 3 children who trained almost without rest until evening. What made them try so hard is unclear. Either Shisui's too mysterious look, or Naruto's pressure and passion, who saddled his favorite hobby horse and with the stubbornness of a donkey wanted to master everything quickly, or the importance of their mission. But they came home tired and happy. The next 2 days were the same. Morning and evening, training, and the day, a short rest in the village. There were no incidents, when they had to endure angry shouts or stone throwing from the beaten villagers or stop a drunkard who was climbing on them with a bottle. And each time they sighed with relief, not seeing any other consequences. Shisui tried to find out more about what happened to Aranese. His movements seemed chaotic, but not to a shinobi. Over the past few days, Uchiha was able to understand the main meaning of his movements. He even identified several points where he went, visiting which formed a general picture. Aranese was all about the stories about Lake Akure. Yes, people came there to worship the spirits and offer them gifts. And he collected different stories about it. And considering that the gang was hanging out there mostly, it can be assumed that their base was somewhere in the vicinity. But that wasn't the only thing that interested him. He also collected some legends about a special spirit that could possess the souls of people and animals if they were near it long enough. It looked more like a mass genjutsu. Shisui remembered that fight, where the bandits continued to beat them even when they themselves wanted to retreat. And you don't have to be a genius to understand that. But if she had such power, then she would have to be in the village to affect everyone. Naruto, you eat like a pig. Kimo complained as they sat down to eat. Namikaze was wolfing down food like crazy to replenish his energy. It's fair to say that the others weren't far behind him either, so the girl's complaint was, as always, out of place. Okay, fine, I won't, he said in a peaceful tone. Why provoke a teammate who was already on edge? And with bruises under her eyes. Shisui was just as tired, and had to leave. He left a raven to watch over the genin while he looked for information. I wish you always listened to me like this. You shouldn't always be so hysterical, Naruto mimicked her, earning him a disparaging look. You should have told me right away that you got up on the wrong side of the bed. I have nightmares, idiot. I can't control them. Naruto also had such dreams, but he still managed to get enough sleep. Which he decided to note out loud. Do you have the same dream every time? How this girl stands on the lake and calls you. Says that we will be together. Brr. Nope. Then you'd better keep quiet, she said again. Sensei, what are you thinking about? Just about anything, Shisui moved his chopsticks around in his empty plate. Don't worry about it, you need to train and get enough sleep now. My intuition tells me you'll need it. You'll fall asleep here with such nightmares. And they seem so real. Maybe it's all because of the music. Our silent Hikaru said, and we all turned our heads towards him, and he became a little embarrassed. I don't think you played while we were in the village, Naruto added hesitantly, not understanding what he was getting at. It's just that she's been playing it for days now. And it's always so melodic and soothing, and the transitions are very smooth. Shisui stood up from his seat. Hikaru, why didn't you tell me about this right away? I thought you heard it too. And there's nothing unusual about it. It's apparently a sound technique. And you're the only one of us who can recognize it thanks to your hearing and clan predisposition to sound. And it's probably imbued with chakra. But what kind of control should it have, and how is it then spread throughout the air so that we don't notice it? Naruto asked the same question to Kurama, but he said that we were emitting radiation like a volcano, and he wasn't a sensor enough to notice it. Hikaru, can you determine its source? It's hard, sensei, but I'll try. Hikaru nodded. He stood up to determine the direction. After looking around a bit, he confidently headed in the right direction. Things are taking an interesting turn. Commentary on 14. Training and Investigations Occur, Evil Souls. Wakai. Young Souls Rojin is an old man. The pronunciation and meaning have changed a bit. Sorry, Japanese experts, an eventless and rather transitional chapter in which they will slightly figure out Kotori's secret and will be able to understand how to defeat her. Here's a question. Since our trio has already started to comprehend the elements, should they be given a boost? In theory, it will take a very long time, their training, but taking into account that all three of them more or less know how to work with it, it will make things easier for them. I just don't want to hit Sue and overdo it, thank you. I want to be sure that I will finish this arc this week and start the exam. 15. Sound of the Past. Team number 7 followed the trail. The trail itself was quite unusual and consisted only of very subtle sounds that Hikaru could detect. He, like a dog, sensed what was hidden from others. It was proof to everyone, including those who doubted, that even unique talents can be useful. And Hikaru's musical talent and ear were just that. After wandering around the village for a while, the boy led them outside and directed the group to one of the 3 lakes, which was called Akure. In Naruto's mind, it might have occurred to him that this was not just a coincidence. When they came to Akura, they saw the shore strewn with extinguished candles and sticks with numerous flowers. The lake itself was filled with muddy, but not dirty, water. There was no one in the vicinity except for one old woman, who had her back to them. Be careful, this is the same chakra as that brat. Got it? Naruto nodded to Kurama. Emerging from his subconscious and grabbing the kunai, he spoke. She's suspicious, the blonde said. The others looked at him questioningly. My intuition tells me so. Then I'll check. Shisui could guess what kind of intuition the genius was talking about. Wait here then. When I give you a sign, you can come out. They nodded silently. Uchiha walked out calmly and loudly enough so that the praying woman would not be frightened by him. Coming a little closer, he sat down next to her and began to wait. He did not want to offend or insult her by interrupting the ritual, but his whole body and all his senses were tense. He expected a trick and an ambush. Finally, the woman finished and looked back at him with her blindfold. Yes, where every normal person would have had their eyes, she had a dirty cloth. I was waiting for you, she said in a calm voice, as if she had seen them more than once and they were old acquaintances. And yet you came to find out our secret. You knew, Shisui stated in a calm voice. From where, may I ask? Does it matter? The old woman smiled. It's enough that I saw all of you. And the children too. Uchiha raised an eyebrow. 4. 1 young man and 3 children. They should have died under the rubble, but they were saved. A battle ensued, which you won. My brother and granddaughter retreated. Shisui was as calm as a boa constrictor. His inner turmoil did not show on the outside. The former Anbu quietly reached for his kunai, but the old woman continued to sit and look, forgive me for this, towards the lake. She was clearly waiting for something. So you were there, together with Kotori and her uncle. I am always with her. Wherever she is, she said in a calm voice. It is my curse to know what she will do, but to be powerless to stop it. All I can do is come here and pray for my daughter's sins. I don't understand you, Shisui said, forcing his interlocutor to open up more. It's hard to understand. The old woman stood up, swaying slightly. Follow me, and you will learn the truth. And where to? To my house. She walked along the shore with a calm and measured step. Her gait was winding and uneven. There you will learn the truth. And you will understand how to kill this demon. Neither Shisui, Naruto, nor the others had any idea who she was. Her behavior was quite strange, but no one felt any danger from her. Her house was a small kitchen room with a musty smell of mud. It was very difficult to accommodate 4 people, and Naruto and Hikaru had to settle outside under the window. The old woman's name was Aki. And she, as it turned out later, was blind. More precisely, she had no eyes. But this did not prevent her from perfectly orienting herself in this area. You said that Kotori is your granddaughter. How did it happen that your bloodline went down this path? Were there reasons and prerequisites? Shisui politely declined the dried-out cookie, God knows how long it had been lying here. Kimo sat nearby and tried to listen. Yeah, why did she become such a crazy psycho? Naruto asked tactfully from the street. Kimo took the cookie and, pulling her hand out the window, let it go into free fall. It was like a stone, and the blonde yelped in pain. Eat, it's very healthy. Tell us, we are very interested to hear everything from the very beginning. Not paying attention to this scene, Uchiha said. Okay. Aki nodded. Our family is one of the oldest in this village. Each member has long helped the residents. Using the wealth of the lakes and the power of the local spirits, my ancestors forced rice to be grown in abundance, warded off misfortune, be it a hurricane or something similar, and settled disputes. But then the views in the family split, and one part joined the land of fire, because they shared their views on the improvement of the world, and the other wanted to remain independent. To stop indulging the whims of others and become masters of their own destiny. As you understand, the other half was cut by the shinobi of the leaf so that we could not use weapons against them. And why? The leaf won't send assassins to another country unless it deems the targets dangerous enough. Shisui clarified. Aki, grumbling that she hadn't put the kettle on, rushed to do such a thing. Naive youth. Shinobi are always prone to aggression and always strive to kill the weak, to crush them. Look at our village. We are under your power and cannot take a step. It's for safety, Uchiha suggested uncertainly. For safety, yes. For yours. Not for ours. Why worry about the lives of many people? It's better to start wars among ourselves, calling them the second, third. Let's talk about today in more detail. Your clan, your family has degenerated. You are the only representatives. Then here's the question. What was your specialty and what does it have to do with us in Kotori? Senpei reasonably concluded that the old woman could grind shinobi bones all day long and scold them as much as she could. And they needed to get to the bottom of it. It's very simple. We could change reality, influence people's souls. It was omnipotence. Our ancestors decided to build a paradise in a single village, because only here could we do it. Aki took the kettle off the fire and fiddled with the tea and the tea leaves, the leaves of which spilled under her fingers. The lakes, then. He looked at the lake with his sharingan, but there was no chakra visible. Strange. Hikaru. The sound comes from there, I can still hear it. Not water, but something underneath it. Shisui nodded. Yes, these are all the spirits of this lake. They rarely come out and talk to me. And I do not lose hope and wait for my daughter. She said in a calm voice, but at the same time frightening. Having placed each cup in front of the guests, the old woman continued her story. Drink, to your health. Music born from the depths can enchant everyone. And make them obedient. I see, Shisui nodded, drawing his own conclusions. He continued the small talk without touching his tea. Kimo sipped it slowly. Kotori. The grace of the spirits came upon her. She had accumulated all the gifts that had been passed down to us from generation to generation. She was capable and intelligent. And the one who could have revived our family and fought you off. But my brother, the scoundrel, wanted to use her for his own purposes. And now she is in her power. And he can't get out. And now a little girl leads a whole squad of bandits. Interesting. And how do we stop her? You want that too, don't you? You are asking the same thing as the first one. Aranese. He was here. Yes. And not just was. Asked the same questions. And I answered, yes, I want to. But I know for sure that you will harm my granddaughter. And that's why I won't allow it, she grinned. Shisui also smiled, although he understood how pointless it was in the society of a blind man. And how so? There was poison in the tea. And your ward will die without an antidote. And only I know the recipe. She began to threaten. Naruto and Hikaru stood up abruptly and looked out the window. Kimo silently looked into her cup, which was half empty. Sighing sadly, she finished it, putting it on the table. Oh, and I was wondering why it was so bitter. Disgusting. And your poison is so tasteless, she said with genuine joy. Aki was surprised and squealed. What? But how? I don't hear your dying groans. Uchiha got tired of pretending and he threw aside the small table and pressed the old woman against the wall with all his strength. The kunai was already in his hand and he was already holding it to the poisoner's throat. Speak, old woman, and don't beat around the bush, or you'll definitely experience the consequences of a shinobi's wrath. No. Speak already. Hey, you idiot, let go of my granny. Someone shouted from behind. Naruto and Hikaru were ready for action, but there was only Kotori standing in front of them. She was walking towards them. Unexpectedly, while trying to find her, Kotori came out to them. Alone, without anyone else, without having time to say anything, they were suddenly plunged into a fiery cloud. The heat was growing so much that everyone was about to ignite themselves, without any reason. Smoke, which appeared out of nowhere, and contrary to the laws, there was nothing caustic to burn here, obscured the entire space around. It felt like the sun. The sun. It was so low above the ground that it began to burn everything around. This was simply impossible, everyone thought. Your mother, Naruto, Kurama woke up. What the hell did you create there? It's not us, it's her. Ah, that girl. Now it's clear where all that chakra comes from. I can't get out of this genjutsu, it's too strong. I'll make you happy, dunce, but this isn't genjutsu. This is reality. The same one that crazy woman was talking about, the fox said, as if he had heard the entire conversation and wasn't fast asleep. You're going to be roasted alive now. And what to do? You know, Kurama said deliberately slowly, as if mockingly. As one boy said, let's get going, Dadbeo. Ha ha. Go for it, you bastard. Naruto said nervously. This was not the best situation for a joke from the Nine Tails. Kimo tried to put out the fire with the element of water, but it was the same as pouring water on a large fire from a thimble. Shisui, having let go of the old woman, tried to think of something. And Hikaru rolled on the sand, knocking the fire off his clothes. Yee, this is cool. Granny, come with me. You have no business here, a voice was heard around. It spread through the air freely, as if someone was playing an instrument. And it only got worse.